They call you Craig.
Yeah.
Craggy Greg. No, I started something.
Names. Yeah, exactly. Stop.
They call you Craig.
Craig.
Sure, you could be called anything. Sure.
Exactly. It's worse. I've been called worse than that too.
Yeah, as long as it's not too early. And
right, your last show of the week tomorrow.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm kind of looking it off, but I need somebody to do it for me. But I'll be probably here. If I didn't get the text saying, "Yeah, I got that covered."
That's real behind the scenes.
This is well, she may as well tell the about this. So I might be off and I might be here, but we'll see how it goes.
It'll be a surprise.
Surprise.
All right, Lee, have a good one. Whatever you do. If I don't see you till Monday, enjoy your weekend. All right, it's the 9 till noon show, 9 o'clock time for news update. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Ramelton Road in Letterkenny is currently closed following a serious overnight crash. Gardaí are at the scene and diversions are expected to remain in place for a number of hours. Traffic is being diverted via Thorn Road and Golf Course Road, while local access to Tara Court is being facilitated. No further details are known at this time. A significant tranche of funding has been announced today for the regeneration of Ramelton. €6.4 million is being made available towards the €8 million project under a major rural regeneration development fund to target dereliction in landmark buildings. It will see significant works carried out in the town, including the development of a new creative hub and co-working hub. Minister Charlie McConlogue says the funding will make a huge difference by injecting vibrancy back into the town.
Ramelton, it's a tremendously significant town in the history of Donegal. It has great heritage. It's a really attractive town for the wider area and serves the wider area, but it has a lot of untapped potential. A lot of the heritage buildings and that have become worse for wear, particularly on the river area. This €6.4 million will really be a step change in relation to the regeneration of Ramelton.
A Letterkenny councillor has warned that the Bunagee Lane is an accident waiting to happen. Concerns have been raised over the volume of vehicles using the route and the speed at which they are travelling. A motion was brought before a meeting of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District this week by Councillor Jerry McMonigal, calling for ramps or other forms of traffic management to be put in place. The local authority says an assessment of the road will be carried out. Councillor Donald Coyle, who supported the motion, believes there is only one solution.
Ramps are the only thing that I see that really slows down traffic, and I think it's imperative now that the council proceed and put in the ramps.
And cuts to the pay of members of the Northern Ireland Assembly have been described as tokenism. MLAs will see their salaries reduced by around a third as part of plans to defer an Assembly election by 6 weeks. The new deadlines to form an executive instalment is now the 8th of December, with the potential for a further extension to January the 19th if necessary. Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern says MLAs are doing a lot of work even if the Assembly isn't sitting. Weather now mild and windy today with plenty of cloud. There will be long dry periods and just patchy rain or drizzle. Top temperatures of 14 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Sometimes getting older is a good thing. Take a fine cheese. With steady planning, careful preparation and trusted guidance, at every stage of the process, it matures. At Standard Life, we believe in a similar approach when planning for retirement. Because when you do, things get better with age. Search Retirement Hub or talk to your financial advisor today. Standard Life International DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And it is a very good morning to you, 4 minutes past 9, Thursday the 10th of November 2022. How are you keeping? I hope you're well. It's breezy out there. It was very wet overnight too. So it's another Thursday, it's another show, it's a busy one as always. Lots to cover on the programme today, lots has happened in the last 24 hours. We're going to keep you, if I can string two words together, we're going to keep you right across it. But we want your views, 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. Give us a call either on 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000. You can watch the show, go to our website, click Watch Live, or go to YouTube. Highland Radio Ireland. Like and subscribe that page too. It's useful, please. The same could be said of our Facebook pages, Highland Radio News and Sport and Highland Radio. Good morning, Annette and Rosemary already joining us this morning, and the rest of you there as well. Right, okay, let's look at the newspapers this Thursday morning. There's a lot to get through, as always, on a Thursday. Talking about traffic on the front of the paper, the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. If the ongoing traffic gridlock in Letterkenny is not addressed, motorists will drive north to do their shopping this Christmas. That was the stark warning from Councillor Michael McBride, who said that the next 6 weeks would be the most important time of the year for businesses in the town. During Tuesday's MD meeting, Councillor McBride said traders were telling him that up to 40% of their annual revenue is derived from the festive period. But in speaking to us yesterday, it was, things are going okay. They're looking into it. It's a positive message. But anyway, his words at the council meeting. The bottom line is that we have to support the businesses of Letterkenny with whatever short-term measures we can to ease the traffic congestion. Elsewhere in the front of the paper, a picture of the inside of the new Creasla shop. The new Lafferty shop in Creasla Village is scheduled to open tomorrow afternoon on a site adjacent to St Michael's Church. The people look forward with much optimism and with good wishes to the Lafferty family on the initiative that once again restores a vital community hub in the village, as small tentative steps are being taken to move forward one step at a time. On to the Donegal News this morning. They have flagged what's in the sports pages. Ollie Horgan, he is gone from Finn Harps. We're going to have some reaction to that story for you a little later on. Who would you like to see replace him? There are a number of names out there. All good. The one thing Finn Harps is not short of, I don't think, is viable candidates. Would you favour Kevin McHugh? I know he's doing great work at the academy. Would he favour sort of stepping into that type of position at this stage? Jim McGuinness, he's freed up now from a Sky perspective. He's managed soccer teams before. Would that be a challenge he'd be interested in? And there's other names out there as well. But we'll go through all of that over the course of the morning. If you have a preference, 086 60 25,000. Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien's expected to announce tomorrow that all families living in Micah homes will be able to avail of €15,000 to help them find alternative accommodation. Now, I'd been told this was going to be announced last week, but good to see that an announcement is likely. There were some developments at a Micah defective concrete block meeting yesterday. Council involvement, local reps. We're going to be getting some reaction from families to that. Well, Minister O'Brien will meet with Donegal County Council's Chief Executive, John McLaughlin, to discuss progress in the overall Micah redress scheme. Speaking in the Dáil yesterday, the Housing Minister indicated that he intends to front-load some of the expenses facing families whose homes are crumbling around them. I also was told that he was considering also making an announcement as it relates to temporary works that can be done. At the moment, the paper is reporting the €15,000 to help find alternative accommodation. But as I say, I would not be flabbergasted if also there was some announcement as it relates to some monies, the 5,000, isn't it, for emergency remedial work. Anyway, we'll see what comes out of the Minister tomorrow. The Derry News this morning, ongoing uncertainty regarding the future of Pilots Row Community Centres impacting Eden's Place Arts Centre, which is housed in the iconic Bogside building. Judy Logue, the Arts Centre coordinator, said she had received no clarity about the facility's future from either the Education Authority or Derry City and Strabane District Council. The Farmers Journal this morning, apparently, record feed costs are set to drive down cattle farmer margins this winter. An exclusive All-Ireland Irish Farmers Journal survey shows that feed costs are up by €120 to €130, an average compared to this time last year. An extra 2,000 will be added to the feed bill of a 35-cow suckler farm keeping weanlings. A winter finisher will carry an additional €8,450 in feed costs for every 100 cattle sent to the factory next spring. Teagasc figures show that farmers will need beef prices to rise by close to €6 a kilogram in order to just break even this winter. Now on to the national newspapers, and the Ducks are getting nicely in a row for Leo Varadkar, regaining his position as Taoiseach of the country, because the state's ethics watchdog has said it will not investigate Tánaiste Leo Varadkar over the leaking of a draft GP contract after a split vote between commissioners decided on an inquiry. The Standards in Public Office Commission stated that there was not enough evidence to sustain the complaint because his action was carried out as part of his duties as Taoiseach. However, 2 of the 5 commissioners voted against the decision not to investigate. 3 complaints had been made to SIPO, including from People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy. Mr Varadkar said, "I've been now cleared of criminal wrongdoing and any breach of ethics or standards. This is always the outcome I expected." While the possibility of SIPO investigating the Tánaiste was not seen as a major political risk to his planned resumption of the role of Taoiseach next month, a decision to investigate could have caused controversy around the handover, which the government has now agreed will happen on December 17th, which is handy, isn't it? And I'm not sure how this next story in the Irish Independent will play with local elected Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael representatives, local party members, but Tánaiste Leo Varadkar has raised the prospect of a transfer pact between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil in the next general election. Speaking on the Indo Daily podcast, the Fine Gael leader said his party and Fianna Fáil could have won more seats if their supporters transferred votes between the parties last time out. But what do you think about that? I mean, I think speaking to a lot of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael supporters over time, particularly it seems Fianna Fáil supporters, that they'd be very pleased to see, even if it meant election loss, they'd be very keen to see a distinct brand, a distinction between they and Fine Gael, and some Fine Gaelers would feel the same. But if then heading into a new election, you have Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil effectively saying, vote number 1, Charlie McConalogue, vote number 2, whomever Fine Gael have elected, it doesn't really, in terms of especially to debates and conversation and vying for the public vote, how does that work? How can you have a debate between a Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael candidates, a meaningful debate, if there's a voting pact between them? It doesn't make a transfer pact, sorry. It doesn't make much sense to me. But anyway, anyone out there who has an interest, let us know what you think. He also took aim at Sinn Féin, saying it would take 10 years to clean up the mess Mary Lou McDonald's party will make of the economy should they be voted into government. And he called on Miss McDonald to condemn the murder of innocent children, Gardaí and prison officers before she ever becomes Taoiseach. The Irish Daily Mail informs us that the number of houses needed in the country has been drastically underestimated. Internal reports from the Department of Housing obtained by the Irish Daily Mail reveal. A Mail analysis shows that there will be a shortfall of up to 65,000 homes in 2030, even if the ambitious target set by Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien are met. Internal department records state that in reality 42,000 new homes are needed per year, well in excess of the estimated 27,000 homes due to be built this year. The shortfall is caused by unmet demand and population growth, and it does not include housing required for over 62,000 Ukrainian refugees who've arrived in Ireland since February. Plenty of coverage of the US midterm elections in the papers today. We'll go to the Irish Sun. A raging Donald Trump, we're told, yelled at aides after rival Republican Ron DeSantis, as he calls him, Ron DeSantimonious, swept to victory in the US midterms elections. It's really quite bizarre because both of them, of course, are Republican Party members. Donald Trump's going to announce that he's seeking re-election as President of the United States of America. The Republicans, though, probably have a really good candidate, another really good candidate, some would argue, in Ron DeSantis. But these are party members now. Imagine it happening here. Donald Trump's effectively said that he's got dirt on Ron DeSantis, and that if Ron DeSantis decides to run, that he'll release this dirt he has on him, whatever it might be, and it'll scupper his chances and ruin his reputation. He's literally publicly threatening to release dirty information, the dirt, I don't mean this, I don't know what the information is, on a fellow Republican so as to discourage him from running for president. Really remarkable stuff. The former US president was said to be livid after DeSantis, who is expected to run against him for a White House bid in 2024, won a landslide re-election at Florida governor, or as Florida governor. Other candidates who Trump backed for governor in Michigan, New York and Pennsylvania all lost. A Trump advisor later said, "Candidates matter. They were all bad candidates." And there is a sense that Donald Trump's influence over the Republican Party in the United States might be beginning to wane. That is the what some within the Republican Party themselves are saying. The Irish Daily Mirror tells us that Ireland's prisons are almost full to the brim, the Justice Minister has revealed. As of October 24, there were 4,266 prisoners in custody out of total bed capacity of 4,471, leaving just 205 beds free in the country's 12 jails. Well, there's no beds free in housing, so at least there's beds free in the jails. In a clear indication of rising crime, Minister Helen McEntee admitted significant growth has been experienced in the remand prison population, which has resulted in pressures on facilities, including Cloverhill Prison in Dublin. And for those in the tech industry, there could be further job losses on the way as their share prices drop. The first victims are the staff. Up to 400 Meta jobs in Ireland are in danger as part of an ongoing downsizing in the lucrative tech sector. Now, they still will continue to employ 2,700 directly. But anyway, employers at Meta, Facebook's parent company, were reluctant to speak to media gathered outside the tech giant's European HQ in Dublin about the confirmation of thousands of job losses. That's thousands around the world, 300 or 400 in Ireland. People leaving the Grand Canal Dock building declined to give their reaction to 11,000 workers globally being let go. Can you imagine leaving work, having been told you lost your job, and you walk out and there's a load of people, newspapers there with their cameras and the notepads and pens? But anyway, listen, it's fine. I'm not judging, really. It just seems strange to me. Also, I was wondering last night as I track the price of a barrel of oil as I try and get off to sleep. A barrel of oil currently is trading at $86 per barrel. And let's not forget that I think it was June, it was at $130 per barrel. Very, very high. But now it's down to 86. Now it may go back over 100, but it's well below 100 at the moment. Now, of course, as the price of oil went up to 130, what we did see is that very quickly prices went up at the petrol pumps, home heating oil, that type of thing. Skyrocketed, come down a little bit, then it tipped over to Euro 4 diesel. But the price of the raw product oil is low again, relatively low, $86, $87 per barrel. But where is the reduction in our fuel costs? Now, the dollar is very strong, okay, so that's going to account for some of it. And obviously we pay massive tax, excise and everything else on a litre of diesel or petrol and home heating oil. So that's obviously in there. But where is the reduction in the price of petrol and diesel? I don't know. Does anyone out there know? 086 60 25,000. Why are we seeing a barrel of oil? I'm not pretending I know much about this stuff, but it's $43 for the raw product, less than it was at its peak. And yet we see really high petrol and diesel prices still. What's going on? Anyone have an insight? As I say, I recognize the high levels of taxation. I recognize the dollar is pretty strong at the moment, but that surely can't account for it all. 086 60 25,000. Are we being treated as mugs? 074 91 25,000. What's going on? Stay right where you are. We're going to be joined by our first guests very shortly.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Imagine a better way to manage your energy with a smart plan from Bord Gosh Energy. Our smart plans, like Free Time Saturday or Free Time Sunday, can help you lower your bills and reduce your energy usage. Find a smart plan that works for you and your home at boardgoshenergy.ie/smart. Free energy units are available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday each week with this tariff. Customers can choose Saturday or Sunday. Smart meter required. Terms and conditions apply. See boardgoshenergy.ie.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Callahan's Gala and Go Burt, your one-stop family shop. Drive into our newly renovated spacious forecourt. Fill up with our upgraded modern fuel pumps and save with our keen Go Fuel prices. Located on the main Letterkenny to Derry Road, we're the ideal pit stop on your Donegal journey. Fast flow fuel, self-service or attended with a smile.
Sure, it's all go at Callahan's.
I'm nipping to Super Value.
OK, tea, bread, weekly voucher on my app. Oh, and a year's free shopping.
Your trip to SuperValue could look even better with our new Real Rewards Scan to Win monthly prize draw. Every scan of your Real Rewards card equals one chance to win. This November, there's 4 one-year free shopping prizes, a trip to Cannes, a prize to be won in every SuperValue, and more. So, start scanning. T's and C's apply. See supervalue.ie for full details on how to enter. 1 year free shopping value is €5,200.
I'm Ben. I am a third-year media production student in Coláiste College of Further Education. I attended university about 4 years ago and I found out it wasn't really for me. I just didn't really like the big environment. It was getting a bit too overwhelming and the support system wasn't really there for me. I want to work in the media industry one day and I want to do something successful, and with the skills I've learned here, I feel like I can really do that.
The future is what you make it. Further education and training. Find out more at cao.ie/options.
Letterkenny Shopping Centre is where real Christmas begins. Get everything you need for the festive season with a wide range of gifts, food and services. Park for free, have a browse, grab a coffee and actually enjoy your Christmas shopping this year. Thank you for visiting Letterkenny Shopping Centre this Christmas.
Okie doke. We're joined on the programme now by the former Finn Harps manager, Ollie Horgan. Ollie, thanks very much for taking the time out of your busy morning to have a quick chat with us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Greg.
How are you feeling, Ollie? I imagine, the disappointment of relegation, because it could have been avoidable if things had gone your way and the team's way. I imagine that's still very raw. The club has been a part of your life for almost a decade now. A lot to process, but how are you feeling?
I think you summed it up. I think that, it's whatever it is, 13 days since we got relegated, and that's really what you wake up to in the morning is certainly a huge disappointment. And, maybe looking back and thinking what you could have done differently. The fact that I'm no longer manager is actually secondary, to be honest with you, Greg. It's the fact that we are now the word day, as you said, being the fact that I'm no longer managing the club. I think that's really what I wake up to in the morning, and that'll take its process. But if it doesn't hurt, Greg, there was no point in me being in it. But it certainly does hurt the fact that we got relegated. Yeah.
I read some comments from you at the weekend, and I presume it was an accurate quote where you said you wouldn't walk away. What happened in your meeting with the club? What happened with your meeting?
You don't beat around the bush, Greg. Here, look, listen. It was best for both parties. From my point of view, and I know people don't like me repeating this, but it's a well-known fact that I had walked away this time last year with family commitments in Galway in particular, and because of my respect to some of the board members that met me, I went back in, and I did it for them who stood by me when we got relegated. Paul Hegarty was with me at the time 4 or 5 years ago, Greg, and we came straight back up the following year. So there's really, in an effort to try and stabilise the club, start again and try to avoid relegation and pass on the reins. But unfortunately, we came up short, and there's nobody to blame bar myself as regards falling short this year. That my recruitment wasn't good enough, and there's nobody passing the buck as regards where we came up short. I had good years, I had bad years, but it was never about me. It was about the club. For anyone that knows me will understand what I mean by that, Greg.
Yeah, indeed. Do you regret then that extra year because you did it? You obviously did it for the right reasons.
Yeah, do I regret it? If it was about me, I would. Yeah, I knew in my head that this was going to be a hugely difficult task, much more difficult than any other year. And in the other years, regardless of the team that we built, we only survived in the last game of the season, invariably, or maybe a playoff. So losing 11 players and then David Webster, losing coaching staff. Do I regret it? I could have done without the headaches, but I probably learned more in the last year about people than I did in 8 years, and I thought maybe I'd learned a fair bit over the years, but it certainly was an education even at my stage.
What do you mean by that? You learnt more about people in the last year?
We had brilliant years, and positively, I think last year our results weren't good enough, and I'd no right to be reappointed as manager. Absolutely not. But positively, the supporters who were there through thick and thin in the difficult years and the good years, and ending in a very difficult year, they stood by me and the players, and we had no right really for them to stand by us. They turned on us in years that we actually avoided relegation, and there was a hell of a lot of pride when I saw that happen. I thought, you're good people, you're hurting, and I would love, that the club could get back on to the Premier Division for them as well as the whole community. But for them alone, I took a lot of pride in that, and driving up and down the road, I thought, some of them are as mad as hatters. We're all mad, Greg, but I thought, did a bit about them, and they knew the difficulty that the players and the management that were in. We were struggling. There's no point in saying anything different. It wasn't the lack of effort, but they backed us right to the end, and I just would love to see the club get back up for them in particular, Greg.
After so many years in charge, Ollie, does it become difficult as to what to say in the dressing room? Because you know what you have to work with. Everyone is probably trying as best as they can. The quality of the opposition that you're up against. Week in, week out. Does it get difficult in the dressing room to try and motivate?
It doesn't get any easier from year to year, but I mean, the changing room, there's nobody in that changing room bar myself and Tommy Harkin, who was with me in Fanad years before that. We're the only two that are in that changing room from 9 years ago. Because of the turnover of players and indeed staff, it constantly changes. So it's not like it's the same group in a changing room week in, week out, year in, year out. It's basically a different group. It changes slightly most years, but it changed hugely 12 months ago, although that's not an excuse, Greg. We should have finished, above UCD, and huge credit to them for getting to the playoffs tomorrow, and we wish them well in that. But we fell down, there's no one passing the buck here, bar myself, that it was very disappointing, and it hurts. However, it certainly wasn't for the lack of effort on anyone's behalf, and the staff that were there all through the years, and in particular this year. You learn a hell of a lot about people, as I said a few minutes ago, people who are with you and back you quietly and obviously when the chips are down, and everyone backs you when you're getting promoted. But you see who's with you and who isn't when you're rock bottom, as we were for parts of the season, and unfortunately at the end of the season as well, Greg.
Right, I'm not going to dwell on that, but you kind of mentioned that a couple of times. Do you think that maybe there are people that could have been a bit more supportive towards you? Is that what you're saying, and understood the challenges that you were facing? Do you feel that...
Look, we've had brilliant days, brilliant years, and you're talking about the good days. Here we are harping on the bad days, but you're talking about the night that BJ and Mickey Funson scored to get us up against Limerick many years ago. And I knew that night, and remember doing an interview afterwards, that here comes trouble, that, in fairness to BJ, I knew I was ahead. I knew how difficult the Premier Division was going to be. We'd brilliant nights, down in Limerick in the second time we got promoted with Nathan Boyle and Mark Tillman scoring to get us back up. And even in playoff games that we stayed up against Strada, they're probably the nights that stick out. There were tough nights as well. You're trying to harp on the negative side of it. Look, what I'm saying to you is that when you're maybe being pulled from pillar to post as I was, and I knew of my commitments at home in Galway prior to going back in, and I made it quite clear that I would be commuting most of the time from Galway. And like, personally, you went from, maybe 24, 48 hours without any sleep for your travelling, but nothing wavered with me. It wasn't that I was tired, although people tell me I'm tired. It might suit the brief to tell me I'm tired. I keep going, and I did, and the fact that you were bottom of the table would add to it. But what I'm saying to you about human beings is that when you're bottom of the table, the good people, they dig you out. Other people maybe throw meaningless problems at you. I won't say meaningless, but problems that could be dealt at a different level. And that would be the real education of the year for me. That, there's some brilliant people around that club, and some brilliant volunteers that welcomed me 9 years ago. They hadn't a clue whether I could lace my boots or not, or whatever, but they welcomed me and backed me right the way through. And I'd love to see the club go back up. It's not about me, and it won't be. Of course, it would look great for me if the club didn't get promoted. It's not about me. I'm not involved in sport for that. I would love to see them come back up, because they gave me a massive chance 9 years ago, and I can only thank them for that.
But in fairness,
I hope I've repaid it.
Yeah, I was going to say that you've repaid it and then some. Do you envy whomever's taking over next? I mean, you.
I wish them every bit of success. I wish them well. As I said, they gave me a chance coming from intermediate football with Thanet United, and to be fair to them, in Thanet, it was probably, as Mickey Funson kept telling me, that was a good education for you, and it was. Brilliant people that, on a small scale, that probably prepared you for Finn Harps, similar on a national scale. And, do I envy who's coming in? I wish them nothing but success. And while I won't be on the sideline, I'm sure I'll be at some of the games on the terracing, but I won't be giving my analysis of the manager, Greg, in that manner.
Will you be in the opposition dugout? I mean, obviously, you have had a fantastic. This is a news show. This is a news show now, Ollie. I'm going to get everything out of you. Come here. You've obviously had a fantastic 9 years with working with, the resources that you did. A lot of people would be very interested now to see you perhaps maybe at a club, with more resources.
Greg, that's easier said than done. While my phone has been ringing since, it hasn't been, there's no one from other clubs ringing me, if that makes sense. And I'm not one to pretend. Yes, there were opportunities to go other places over the years, without doubt. And as there were with loads of my staff and loads of the players, it's not that we don't go telling people, about it, but just, I need to take stock. If the phone rings and something comes up, well and good. I don't intend to hang up the boots or to be sent out to pasture just yet, and people that tell me I'm tired, Greg.
No,
I
don't listen to them.
I was 11.
Yeah, don't listen. You know yourself. You don't need to listen to other people. But it's nothing I said on but funny you say, Ollie. I know that on the programme yesterday, I said I hate when people say you look tired, especially when you don't, because it starts making you question how you look. So I kind of get a sense you know yourself better than anyone. But in terms of if the phone call came in, Ollie, is there a particular level now that you would be, that would entice you? Do you know what I mean? Is it sort of League of Ireland level? Would you go back the way a bit? What would excite you now from a challenge perspective?
I've no idea, Greg. I don't have any idea. It's not about me. It never was. It's about Finn Harps, and part of my heart will always be with them. And because of the manner and the chance that they gave me and the way that they backed me over the years, and I've got, of course, it's hurting hugely that we got relegated. That's where the hurt is. Yeah, it's not the fact that I'm no longer manager. There's a relief that I'm no longer manager, to be honest with you, Greg. But it's still, the hurt is still there from getting relegated last Friday week, and I need to get over that before I think about anything else.
It's a bit raw, I get you.
The phone might never ring, Greg, so it might be a question that I never have to answer, to put it that way.
Well, I doubt that greatly. Ollie, highlight of the last 9 years. You've picked on a few of them, the great escapes and players that you put faith in, returning that faith, and those amazing nights that you had as well. What would be the highlight? Is there an individual thing that's the highlight, or is it an overall experience, or what?
It's. I think I gave you some of the highlights. Some of the highlights would have been surviving in the last day of the season, where it wasn't the maybe the huge occasion of getting promoted. But I think out of a little bit of innocence way back when Mickey Funson and BJ got us promoted in Finn Park against Limerick. It was very much a local group, a local staff that just bought into it, and we've had great days since that and difficult days, but probably it probably wasn't, if you like, corrupted then, or it wasn't like there was a lot of maybe innocence and trusting people as they were. Probably that night in the playoff where we were 1-0 down from the Marcus Field and we won in extra time. Yeah, probably that night over the years. Although we've had many, many good nights, but unfortunately we had a number of difficult ones as well, Greg.
But that's sport, isn't it? That is the sport.
Yeah,
would you ever return?
To Finn Harps? Well, I intend to return whenever the season starts and support them. There's no problem with that. If you're saying returning,
go as manager in 4, 5, 6
I have no idea. Certainly they won't want to see me back for a while. You never say never. Look, let's see what happens. I'm not one to sit in the house, and I certainly haven't sat in the house since we finished on Sunday, and I don't intend to do that either. Whether that's football, wherever that may be, I don't know, Greg.
Right,
but let's see. And as I said to you, I still need to process the disappointment of getting relegated before, I go and look at anything further down the line. But never say never, and I won't be closing any door should anyone, look for me in time to come.
Lots of people texting in saying thanks, Ollie. I mean, it's an amazing commitment, almost a decade. And as you say, there's been highs and lows, but all of that forms why we follow clubs, and that's sport, and it is sport. So enjoy whatever time you have. I have a feeling your phone will be ringing off the hook at some point, Ollie. But for now, thank you so much for your time this morning.
You're welcome, Greg.
Take care.
Thank you.
That's Ollie Horgan, the former Finn Harps manager, and it's 9 years before you could say that. We're going to be joined very shortly by our Finn Harps correspondent, Jeremy Doherty, but I also want to bring in Kathy Tath, who is secretary at Finn Harps Football Club. I'm not sure how much of Ollie's comments you heard there, but I suppose from the get-go, Kathy, it's a big thanks from Finn Harps to Ollie Horgan, is it?
Indeed. Good morning, Greg. Thank you for the invitation to come on. I heard much about Ollie said, not all of it, you're right. It's a huge thanks. Absolutely. What he has done is phenomenal. It kind of just, flies out of people's lips, long-serving manager in the League of Ireland. But that is, that in itself is quite a statement. For anyone who's involved in Premier Division, League of Ireland football, Premier Division, First Division, it doesn't matter. It's a full-time job, and Ollie Horgan has done it while doing his own job, while, as he's outlined, having a family, having the commitment to, the commitments that he spoke about. I mean, they're Ollie's business. I'm not going to speak to them, but it's amazing.
His modesty perhaps doesn't allow him to talk about the extensive nature of the job. It's not a case of turning up, take training, stand on the sideline for a game, especially at particular levels. There's an awful lot more to a Finn Harps manager's job than might meet the eye for most of us.
There is to every manager's job, but particularly Finn Harps, and particularly so because of, one, our location, the other, our part-time status, and the fact that by the very nature of that part-time status, the majority of our players are Ollie, our management, our backroom staff, who are huge and many. I mean, we have a Cora registered physiotherapist, dietitian, who has a master's in sports nutrition and, specifically studied or researched high intensity football, the needs in the body for high intensity football in terms of hydration and nutrition. And I'm not doing her much credit here, am I? Our strength and conditioning coach spent 8 years with Derry City, was asked by Kenny Shields to join the team for the Northern Ireland women's team, the Northern Ireland ladies team. So, that's the calibre. Our backroom staff, our coaching staff, our goalkeeper coaches, and this is the danger when you start naming anybody.
No, I understand. Well, listen, I'll move on then to take you out of that, to help you out of that. But you're talking about all of the commitment, and I get you. It's a whole team.
Yes.
Ollie Horgan came back.
The point, though.
Yep.
Sorry, Greg. No, the point is they've all come, and they've all come to a part-time setup, and they've all come because it's Ollie Horgan, not because it's Finn Harps, not because any of the rest of us are there. It's because Ollie said to them, will you come join our setup and give a hand? And they've stayed, many of them, for as long as Ollie has been there. Yeah. So it's
a credit to him, indeed.
He's phenomenal.
He came back for another year. He said on Sunday that he wouldn't walk away. He met obviously with reps from the club, and a decision was taken by mutual consent for Ollie to leave. Was it the club's wish to go in a different direction?
A lot of people are saying that, and I see a lot of comments, Greg, about how the board should, really made a poor decision. It was a joint decision. It wasn't the board's decision. And, the board, I would say, and have said to anybody who's asked me this, is, it's reflective as our fan base. There are those who absolutely felt that Ollie's time, his time had come, to move on. Others who wanted him to remain, even give it one more year. So it wasn't, and I've heard it, oh gosh, you sacked Ollie Horgan. The board did not sack Ollie. The board met with Ollie. We've discussed this, and mutually it was decided. And there are those on the board, and I'm one of them, who are so sad and so disappointed that Ollie has not given it.
I presume he also would have brought not demands as such he would have brought requests to the table for that meeting as well. In other words, if he were to continue, I presume he would have some, maybe even hinted at them during that interview, he would have had some expectations that maybe Finn Harps couldn't have met?
I don't agree with that. I don't know that Ollie was saying that.
No, it's a question, Kathy. It's a question. I'm not making statements. It's just a question for you to say yes or no or whatever you want to say.
I would say no, to be fair, and I think Ollie will acknowledge that the board has backed him for the last 9 years.
Brilliant.
You know, we came up the first time from the first division with a budget of 2,500 per year, which, you know, when you think about it, is remarkable. But again, Ollie Horgan brought us up, and everybody around him, for 2,500. The budget has increased, you know, year on year. We're a part-time club. We rely so much on, you know, on our gates, on our sponsors, on you know, our commercial outputs, and many clubs don't have to do that. You know, they have a benefactor who will write checks, and, you know, nothing is an issue. And, you know, we haven't had that. So, you know, the board has given that commitment, and I know Ollie will acknowledge and does acknowledge that's a fact.
Yeah.
So, no, there were no demands. I didn't hear them if there were.
No, that's it. That's stated clearly, Kathy.
There absolutely weren't.
Yeah, okay.
I was at that meeting.
Brilliant. That's it. It was just a question to try and so the listeners know. Finally, what is the process now for appointing a replacement, Kathy? I mean, we're obviously in the closed season now, but it's the sooner someone knows they're in that position, the better, I suppose. So, what's the process now in appointing a successor?
There's a group or a subgroup that are going to manage this piece. An advertisement will go out. I mean, I've already, as club secretary, much of the correspondence and the communication comes via my email. Already, we have received emails with our expressions of interest. The process will be, you know, to formally set that in place and to filter what I hope will be many applications, draw up a shortlist. There's an interview process. I think ordinarily the managers or the potential managers make a presentation. You know, it'll be done over a number of meetings with the prospective new manager. It's not just a matter of reaching out and tapping somebody on the shoulder and saying, "Come here, you know, come in and fill, you know, these enormous shoes." So that's where we're at the moment, and I'm not going to be directly involved with that piece, so I'm probably not the best person to speak to it, really.
Okay, and very finally, Kathy, as far as you're aware, is it a case of invites only? It's not invites only, but, you know, opening up.
No.
But what I'm trying to get at is here, there is the possibility also to approach people, presumably, as well as to advertise the position.
I would expect so.
Yeah.
I'm sure every avenue is going to be explored. You know, as I say, I'm not going to be doing it, but those that have done it before. They engaged Ollie Horgan, and that wasn't a bad call.
No, good one. Yeah.
So I'm sure, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Brilliant stuff,
So,
Kathy. And it's exciting times ahead. It's disappointment, obviously, after, well, to say goodbye to someone who's served so loyally at the club, and obviously with relegation. But it's a building process again now. Exciting times ahead in terms of new facilities. Still great work ongoing in terms of, you know, engaging with the youth. And growing that side of things as well. So, you know, whilst we're in a period of disappointment with Ollie moving on after his loyal service and relegation, it's still a very positive mood, is it, around Finn Harps about the future and where the club and its environs are going?
It is, Greg, because there's lots to be positive about. I mean, our stadium certainly, and that's going to be a Donegal Stadium. It's not just going to be Finn Harps Stadium. It's going to be a facility for the entire county, which is brilliant. So fair play to Paul McClune for absolutely turning that around and getting us to where we are. That's hugely exciting. First division isn't a bad thing, as you say. You know, our youth are there. They certainly will be very evident in the first division, because, you know, the step up from under 19s to Premier Division, it really it's quite a gap. It's quite a gulf. Very few, you know, can do it and do it well. So first division is definitely a good stepping stone for many of our our underage graduates, you know, for want of a better word, our academy graduates. And I imagine that there are quite a few stars of the future, you know, who will emerge there. And it's, you know, whoever comes in, the request of the board will be that we finish as strongly as possible and ideally get back up and out of the first division, if not in the first year, then very quickly after that.
Brilliant stuff.
We know it can be done. It's been done twice now, so that's really what we hope the future will be.
Kathy Taff, thank you very much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. Secretary at Finn Harps Football Club. Now, Diarmuid Doherty, my apologies for holding you so long, but I think actually it's quite interesting for our conversation for us to hear from Ollie and Kathy there as well. Diarmuid, you've been covering these games, going to these games for so long. It's got to be strange the next one that you attend and it won't be Ollie Hogan in the dugout.
Yeah, it's an end of an era, isn't it, Greg? And it's very interesting, as you say, to hear what Kathy had to say there, and Ollie before her, just to get an insight into exactly what has been going on over this last while. But it all came to a head this week with Ollie's departure, and it will be very strange because we've worked with him for the past 9 years, and we've built up a relationship and got to know him, away from the football, It's been great. It's been exciting. This season has been tough. Any supporters that you talk to about the standard, the style of football, the disappointing run of results, everything, it was all so disappointing in so many aspects. But I mean, it's probably just a shame that that's the way it has ended.
Yeah, it's always nice to go out on a high, but sure, who walks away on a high? Do you know what I mean, Diarmuid? I mean, obviously, there's a personal relationship there and a respect thing there, but there's also a fan element to it as well. Do you think this was the right decision at this time, or maybe he's done it a couple of times before? Another year to give Ollie what he needs to try and get Harps back up. What's your feelings, or the mixed feelings, or what do you feel?
Yeah, probably mixed feelings, Greg. It would be easy for me to say, they should have let Ollie stay. They should have given him another go in the first division. But, I mean, the question is, did Ollie want to stay? Was his heart in it? Was he going to be happy to stay in the current circumstances with the board of directors that were there? There's so many aspects to it, Greg. But, yeah, from a personal level, I mean, I knew Ollie before he took over as Finn Harps manager because I knew him from my days at St. Eunan's College when I played on one of his teams. So he was a manager for me when I was a footballer. I got to know him then when he was playing with Fanad United, when he was managing Fanad United. And so when he joined Finn Harps, I knew him before that. I knew a lot of what he brought to the table. But believe you me, I've got to know him a lot better since, Greg. And I have so much respect for the man. What he's brought to Finn Harps has been unreal. Finn Harps have had good managers over the years, Greg, and we shouldn't forget that. Harps have been lucky to have, the names jump out at you. Paul Hegarty before Ollie Horgan was a class act. James Gallagher, Anthony Gorman, Charlie McGeever back in the 90s, Patsy McGowan way back when. All good people, all good football people. But Ollie, I think it's fair to say he brought things to a new level. Kathy touched on it there. The way he set up his we can call the backroom team, the nutritionists that he brought in, the goalkeeping coaches, and not only that, Greg, but the players that he brought to the club as well. And I think it was even Kathy that touched on it there herself, and that it's a credit to her. They didn't come to join Finn Harps. They came as much for Ollie as anything. Yeah. It was Ollie who
and I suppose that makes the next appointment all the more. So let's run through who could take over next. We talked about the importance of the academy and academy players coming through, playing in the first division next year. Then, of course, the name Kevin McHugh would spring to mind. He's Finn Harps through and through. I'm not sure how keen he might be to give up the work that he's currently doing to take on the job of manager. But, I mean, obviously Kevin McHugh is a name that would be linked to this job. What do you think of the chances there?
Yeah, Kevin McHugh will definitely be among the favourites, and I hope he gives it some thought. I hope he is given consideration as well by the club. Kevin is extremely popular among supporters. He's an all-time, one of the top goal scorers in the club's records. And as you say, he's been Harps through and through, and has been involved at underage level with the academies and things like that. So yeah, he's definitely a prospect worth considering.
It's kind of whether he wants it or not, is it?
That's you see that's the thing, Greg. It might be too early for Kevin. Maybe it just doesn't suit him. You don't know what's going on in terms of his, as you said, his work, his own work, his own personal life.
Yeah.
Well, things have to happen at the right time.
We saw how Ollie made the transition. Gavin Cullen then is another name that might spring to mind. Cockhill Celtic manager, former Hops keeper. Boxes being ticked all over the place there.
Exactly, Gavin as well. Declan Boyle, who was on with Oshin on the Sports Bulletin this morning, has to be a candidate as well, because Declan was there with Harps at the underage setup, along with Joe Boyle, who's another name that has been mentioned. Declan is now managing at under-19 level with Sligo Rovers, knows the game, knows the players that are coming up, and I'm sure Declan would love an opportunity to manage at League of Ireland level. Again, is it the right time? Declan works down in County Leitrim. He's got
not as
family
far away
himself,
as Galway.
So it's not as far away as Galway, yeah. So it's interesting. One of the things that Kathy mentioned there as well was that the emails have started to come in already, even though Ollie's only gone literally hours at this stage.
Yeah, I thought that interesting. All right.
That. Yeah. So listen. League of Ireland football is strange, Greg. I've always found over the years it's almost like a managerial merry-go-round at times. A manager leaves one club, he ends up somewhere else, and then he moves on somewhere else. And players, similarly, the amount of players that are playing at League of Ireland level that have played with other clubs within the League of Ireland too. So
it's a small pool, isn't it? But there's three quality names, and I'll tell you, it's not. I mean, we've seen in GEA circles and elsewhere how difficult it is to even maybe identify prospective candidates. But there's a richness there already, and that's not to mention who might be looking for it. A curveball. Now, I'm not sure what Jim Guinness's status is in terms of availability to actually manage at the moment. But if you're looking for maybe a name that might bring something else to the party as well, hugely respected. We know the kind of work he can do on nutrition and all that type of stuff. I mean, is it nonsense to suggest Jim McGuinness? He likes managing soccer teams now.
No, Greg, I don't think it's nonsense. Would I like to see Jim McGuinness there as manager of Finn Harps? Yes, I would love it. Again, as much as I have respect for Ollie as a person and as a manager, what can we say about Jim McGuinness and what he has done for sport here in the Northwest? So if he was given the opportunity, I'll put it to you this way, I would love to see Jim McGuinness managing Finn Harps. If he ended up managing Derry City or Dundalk, where he was linked before, I'd be thinking, why didn't Finn Harps get him? That would be my first question. How come Harps missed out there? So, yes, I'm sure the name Jim McGuinness that it's been mentioned. It's not been mentioned by accident. There's a reason for it. Has contact been made? I don't know. And again, would it suit Jim McGuinness at this stage of his standings, of his situation, to come and manage a club like Finn Harps? I don't know. But I suppose all we can do is watch this space.
Jim would be, I mean, you spoke very highly there of Declan Boyle, and this is not in any way speaking negative of others, but for you, would it be Declan or Jim would be your favourites?
Greg, I honestly don't know. I remember when Ollie was appointed manager back in November of 2013, 9 years ago. They called a press conference to announce the manager, and genuinely walked into the press conference and Ollie was sitting at the top table, and I did not expect to see Ollie sitting there that day.
So nothing would surprise you. Nothing would surprise you.
That's what I'm saying. And listen, Ollie's appointment. I remember asking Ollie, one of the questions at that press conference that day was, Ollie had a young family at that time. Now his children have grown up now 9 years later, but he had young kids at that time. I think he had 4 children. And one of the questions I put to him was how's he going to be able to juggle family life and children and Finn Harps? And he answered it in a typical Ollie fashion. He says, listen, we'll just get on with it. These are things you've got to deal with.
I suppose it's like every job. We all do it, really, don't we? I mean, it's not just because you manage a team. It doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Craig, you know what Ollie's unreal. I mean, he did juggle family life. His parents living down in Galway. His mum sadly passed away recently. He would be up and down to Galway visiting them. He's got his work in St Eunan's College and all the other things going on in his life as well. It wasn't just Finn Harps. He was involved at schoolboys level in football. So, hey, you could ring him any time, any hour of the day, and he could literally be anywhere.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, he's a big miss. There's no doubt about that. But so many happy memories, and of course, because it is sport, there's sad memories. Disappointing memories, sorry, probably a better way of putting it, to reflect on. All right, we'll see how it goes. When do you expect a successor to actually be appointed, Jeremy? Obviously, they have their ducks in a row. They're all action now in terms of trying to get someone in place. How long do you think that process might take?
Again, I'm not sure, Greg. Hopefully sooner rather than later, because the new season will be up and running, after Christmas. I'm sure they'll get back for pre-season. The new League of Ireland season will kick off in late February, early March of next year. We thought that the process of appointing a manager within the Donegal GA scene would have been straightforward, and that proved totally different, Greg. So who knows how this will go, but hopefully it won't be as slow and frustrating as that.
Okay, doke. Listen, Jeremy, thanks for your time this morning. I really appreciate it. Jeremy Doherty there, Finn Harps correspondent for us here at Highland Radio.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
This December the 23rd, you could own a brand new car worth €30,000. What a wonderful automobile. Highland Radio is giving away a brand new Nissan Juke SUV worth €30,000. Someone, and it could be you, will get a call from Greg Hughes on the 9 to noon show on December the 23rd. You just won a car. Yes, steady on, that could be you. If you've got the lucky ticket, simply go to highlandradio.com, click on the car link, answer an easy question and buy a ticket for €10, 6 for €50 or 10 for €80. Highland Radio's great car giveaway. Surprise, surprise! Get your ticket now.
Acres deadline extended. In this week's Farmers Journal, Department bows to pressure as advisors scramble to submit applications. Cash for Carbon, scheme to certify farmers for capturing carbon on the way. Feed prices up almost 50% on last year. Boost for weanling trade as new market opens. New €1 billion forestry programme will pay farmers to plant trees. Plus, don't miss your free 48-page agribusiness report with KPMG inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
6 wardrobe clear-outs, 3 look changes, 1 night in a hotel lost and found, and 10 years of being your favourite. It's fair to say that cardigan has staying power. Irish design and craft isn't just made local, it's made to last. Support makers and find something you love for ages at madelocal.ie. Made local, made to last. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland.
The Private Security Authority is the government body responsible for regulating the private security industry. Every day, licensed security services protect billions of euros worth of goods and ensure the safety and security of thousands of people and businesses. When choosing a security service for your home or business, choose one licensed by the Private Security Authority. If you choose an unlicensed security provider, you could face prosecution. Visit psa-gov.ie for more information and a list of licensed security services.
Swing into Christmas with the Rat Pack, live at the Griannan Theatre, Letterkenny, December 14th. Direct from London's Leicester Square, and for one night only, enjoy classics from Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. Tickets from Anne Griannan Theatre box office and annegriannan.com. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Okay, some comments before the news. Ollie Hogan performed miracles, keeping Finn Harps in the top tier on a shoestring budget at a time when there were no representatives there from strongholds such as Waterford City, Limerick, Galway and Midlands. Home gate receipts would only pay 2, maybe 3 players from a top 4 club. Disheartening this year to see ex-stars return with other clubs and some crucial goals against them. We'll miss his honesty and humorous interviews. Thank you, Ollie, for battling passionately against the odds. Thank you. Well considered there. Tell Ollie to take up sea swimming, clear the head, and he'd be ready to go again. Thanks and good luck, Ollie, a Finn Harps legend. One place I feel Finn Harps are losing out financially is not enough merchandise in the club shop. All right, something maybe to look at. Watching from Mallinhead, Ollie, thank you for all the memories. Okay, and thank you for watching and your comments. Greg, Ollie gave his all to do his best. He deserves every thanks, and his example and graciousness will inspire others to carry the baton forward. God bless and well done, says a listener there. And another, Greg, can you please wish Ollie all the best for the future and thank him for all he did for Finn Harps? That comes in from Derek, who's tuned in Sion Mills. Okie doke. That's where we're going to leave it for the first hour of the show. Stay tuned. Lots to come on the programme. Stay involved in it. Text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000. That's 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. We'll be back after the news and the obituary notices with Michaela Clark.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Ramelton Road in Letterkenny remains closed following a serious overnight crash. Gardaí are at the scene and diversions are expected to be in place for a number of hours. Traffic is being diverted via Thorn Road and Golf Course Road, while local access to Tara Court is being facilitated. No further details are known at this time. A significant tranche of funding has been announced today for reimagining Ramelton. €6.4 million is being made available towards the €8 million project under a major rural regeneration development fund. It will see significant works carried out in the town, including the development of a new creative hub and co-working hub. Minister Charlie McConlogue says the funding will make a huge difference by injecting vibrancy back into the town.
Ramelton, it's a tremendously significant town in the history of Donegal. It has great heritage. It's a really attractive town for the wider area and serves the wider area, but it has a lot of untapped potential. A lot of the heritage buildings and that have become worse for wear, particularly on the river area. This €6.4 million will really be a step change in relation to the regeneration of Ramelton.
A Letterkenny councillor has warned that the Bonagee Lane is an accident waiting to happen. Concerns have been raised over the volume of vehicles using the route and the speed at which they are travelling. A motion was brought before a meeting of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District this week by Councillor Jerry McMonigal, who called for ramps or other forms of traffic management to be put in place. The local authority says an assessment of the road will be carried out. Councillor Donald Coyle, who supported the motion, believes ramps are the only option.
This is something that we've been looking for a long time, and I think it needs to be done now, and it needs to be done urgently. Ramps are the only thing that I see that really slows down traffic, because, you know, if you come to a ramp, you just have to slow down, and I think it's imperative now that the council proceed and put in the ramps.
Tributes have been paid this morning at Donegal County Council's Economic Enterprise and Emergency SPC to all agencies involved in the rescue and recovery operation following an explosion in Creasnaw last month. The Council's Director of Emergency Services, Gary Martin, has praised all who responded to the unprecedented event, including the local community, who he says has to be commended. He told the meeting that the thorough training undertaken by the agencies providing assistance was evident throughout the operation. Gary Martin acknowledged also the support from the Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service, including specialist and canine and camera support from Belfast. Cuts to the pay of members of the Northern Ireland Assembly have been described as tokenism. MLAs will see their salaries reduced by around a third as part of plans to defer an Assembly election by 6 weeks. The new deadlines to form an executive in Stormont is now the 8th of December, with the potential for a further extension to January the 19th if necessary. Former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern says MLAs are doing a lot of work, even if the Assembly isn't sitting.
They're still doing their constituency work, and I suppose that's a lot of the public say, listen, they haven't been really meeting properly, you know, for months now. Why should they be getting their full pay? I understand that argument, and this is to try to deal with that argument. But, you know, I'd rather see a resolution than be worried about what they get paid.
Donegal County Council's Islands Committee is stepping up its campaign to have a fire service developed on Tory Island. The issue was raised by Tory representatives at a meeting this week and also at a meeting of the Glenties Municipal District. Tory has a population of around 120 people, but there is no fire station or fire tender on the island. Councillor John Hamish O'Farry says with new tenders being located at a number of fire stations in the county, arrangements should be made to transfer one of the old tenders to Tory.
We're getting new fire tenders into the fire stations around Donegal and around Ireland, and I'm sure they're able to get a second-hand fire tender to Tory Island. The population has grown over the last number of years in the island, and it's important the amount of tourism and everything that goes to the island with 2 schools there, a hotel, local pub, and the amount of people that are living on the island, that the services are put in place.
A wind warning for Donegal has been extended. Met Éireann is warning of strong to gale force south to southwest winds today and into tomorrow, with gusts of 90 to 110 km per hour expected. The warning will remain in place until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Mild and windy today with plenty of cloud. There will be long dry periods and just patchy rain or drizzle with top temperatures of 14 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notice is for this Thursday morning, November the 10th. The death has taken place of Elizabeth McLaughlin, Den Carray Road, Carndonagh. Her remains will be reposing at her home from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Danny McGarvey, Newton Springfield Fanid. Funeral arrangements to be confirmed later. The death has taken place of Edward Ferry, Dunlew Gidor. His remains are reposing at his home with Rosary nightly at 8 o'clock. Funeral arrangements to follow. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to the Irish Heart Foundation. Care of any family member or Kieran Rorty Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Bridget Breed McCormick, née McDade, 3 The Pines at Churchill. Bridget's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass in St Columkille's Church, Glendowan at 11 o'clock, followed by burial in Temple Douglas Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time from 11 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only. Donations to Palliative Care Department, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Mary Gallagher, née Kyle, Port Salon and Fawn, County Donegal. Her remains are reposing at the residence of her son Tony, Crow Ross, Port Salon, Fanid. Removal from there at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon, arriving at Christ the Redeemer Church, Rossnakill for 2 o'clock funeral service. Burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of any family member or McAteer Funeral Directors. The funeral service can be viewed live on McAteer Funeral Directors' Facebook page. The death has occurred of Winnie Doherty, St Bridget's, Cockhill Road, Buncrana. There will be no wake and house is strictly private at the request of the deceased. The death has taken place of Gertie Maguire, 93 Dunteg Road, Omagh. Her remains will repose at her late residence. Her funeral will take place tomorrow morning in St Mary's Church, Dregish. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Ronan Kelly, Crossgar, County Down, and formerly Mina Voy and the Glebe Stranorler. Remains reposing at McCool's Chapel of Rest, Ballybuffet today, with visiting time from 7 o'clock until Rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorler at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Charlie McColgan, late of 3 St Bridget's Avenue, Derry. Funeral from his daughter's home, 42 St Francis Terrace, this morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if wished to the Alzheimer's Society, Seven Oaks, Derry. And the death has occurred of Susan Buffini, née Clay, 12 Thornshead Road, London, formerly Woodhill Manor, Cunningham, County Donegal. Susan's funeral will take place on Monday morning in Cheshire at 10:30 at St Mary's RC Church, 2 New King Street, Middlewich. Burial at 12 noon at Middlewich Cemetery, Chester Road, Middlewich. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you are just joining us. All right, some of your comments as they continue to come in here. Greg, Ollie Hogan gave his all to do his best. He deserves every thanks, and his example and graciousness will inspire others. I think I read that one already. Yeah, both of you, thank you very much for those comments. What about throwing Paul Hegarty's name into the hat for Finn Harps? Well, you've just done so, haven't you? Some other stuff here. Decision not to investigate Leo Varadkar's alleged misdeeds. Am I perhaps too cynical in believing there's a separate class of people in Ireland who are too important to go to prison? Well, I'm not sure if it's simply connected, but the more money you have, seemingly, the less likely you are to lose your home or to end up in jail, it seems. Greg, you had a Letterkenny councillor on your show yesterday, and still I heard no response to how this 4-lane project is going to ease the traffic in Letterkenny. The reason is it is not. It's a multi-million euro cycle lane that will keep the Greens happy while the traffic is still gridlocked in Letterkenny and will definitely stop people from visiting and shopping. Until things are done right in this country and the right people are making the right decisions, Letterkenny is going to struggle big time. But still, it's an attractive enough experience for tens of thousands of people to still go in and shop. Letterkenny is a thriving, busy town, but you just want to make sure that everything is being done to support the businesses through their difficult times and also through the times where trading is at its peak over the Christmas time. Separately, trying to get through to Samaritans for the past 3 weeks, wondering if anyone else had the same thing happen to them. Now, that surprises me. If you want to just get back in touch with us and tell us the number that you're trying to contact them on, we'll see if we can look into that for you, because if you're trying to reach the Samaritans, it's obviously an important call. Hi, Greg. In relation to the opposition, we don't have an opposition. So they voted with the government in relation to the carbon tax and then organised cost of living protests. You couldn't make it up. Seems on the face of it something of a contradiction. I don't think any popular party now, though, can sort of doubt the fact that we need to do something about climate change, about our carbon emissions, but there has to be a balance struck, doesn't there? Caller says the Minister has said the reason for the 42 million funding for racehorses is that it brings in a couple of billion in revenue from sales of horses from abroad. If we didn't have the race courses, we would never know how good they are. We have to speculate to accumulate. Okay, well, show me the billions. And if 42 million euro can return billions of euro in revenue, well, why is it coming out of the public purse? Surely there's a private... Surely there's a private fund that could fund that, or maybe the industry itself could fund it. If the industry creates billions off a government investing 42 million, well, surely from those billions, they themselves could scrape together 42 million for the next year. If that truly is what's happening here. I'm not against supporting the horse racing industry. I don't engage in it really. It doesn't put me up or down. It won't stop me sleeping at night. But if it creates billions in revenues of sales from horses, right, and whatever else, well then surely 42 million can come from the billions from this year for next year, and then that 42 million euro can go to paying nurses properly. Just a suggestion. I agree with you about the link between nightclubs and antisocial behaviour, but isn't there less nightclubs now and antisocial behaviour seems to be increasing? Nightclubs is a catch-all, right? Nightclubs really, if you think nightclubs, you think, right, 2:30 opening, 3 o'clock opening. Then you think pubs closed at 11:30. It's not the case now. The nighttime entertainment industry is made up a lot of pubs that stay open until 2:30. Do you know what I mean? So it's still lots and lots of people out on the streets. Just because nightclubs aren't as popular as the ones were, it doesn't mean that people aren't going out after midnight. And plenty of you messaging in too, some being carried over from yesterday as it relates to traffic lights and all that type of stuff. I'll get to that, but I want to give you the opportunity now to hear the bingo numbers because it's jackpot day today, and it's just an opportunity to remind you that all of you playing the bingo and hundreds of euros given away every week, which is fantastic, but all of you playing the bingo have collectively donated to charity. I hope you know that. You've raised over 250 million euro for the National Council for the Blind of Ireland, and that money is spent locally. So in playing bingo, you are doing your bit for charity. Over €250,000, all of you out there have raised. Now, it's not a club, it's not a scheme. You can buy a book anytime you like and contribute to that charity as well. They're €5. It's €1 per day to play. Play obviously well within your means and for fun, and if you've a spare fiver or you want to have a bit of fun whilst helping out the National Council for the Blind of Ireland. The books are in a lot of retail outlets all across the region, so you should be able to pick one up if you wish. It's €1 a day to play then. We have hundreds of euro in daily cash prizes, which are won at a regular pace, and I'll maybe run through a list of winners for you again in the not too distant future. But then on a Thursday, we've got this big jackpot that you can play for, as well as the daily cash prize. So it's all a bit of fun, but you're supporting the National Council for the Blind of Ireland, which I think is obviously fantastic. Right, so here are the numbers for today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 10th of November, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €12,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4. It's game number 45. The jackpot number is 24. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 4, 22, 83, 70, 46, 56, 17, 57, 26, and finally 76. Phone your claim to 910483 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Farmers, you're built different. One step after the other, you don't see the rewards for months or years. That's life on the farm. Or you could say that's life in rehab. When you're learning to walk after a machinery injury, one step after the other, you don't see the rewards for months or years. Just because you've the strength to see you through rehab, it doesn't mean you should have to. Farmers, always take care around machinery. From the Health and Safety Authority, visit hsa.ie/farm safety.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Make Christmas easy and get everything exactly when you want it with Dunstore's Christmas pre-order service. Choose a time slot that suits you at dunstoresgrocery.com and start selecting from our range of amazing Irish products, from oak smoked salmon and free-range turkey to Christmas pudding. Then save with automatically applied 10 off 50 grocery vouchers. Christmas pre-order available now. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunnes Stores. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €40 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing $64.50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas trees, decorations and all types of lights. Everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's. Our biggest and best Christmas shop has outstanding value on lights and trees. There really is something for everyone at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
The new VHI 360 Health Centre Carrickmines gives our healthcare members access to 5 floors of clinical expertise, including urgent care, paediatrics and state-of-the-art diagnostics, all under one roof. Visit vhi.ie. VHI Healthcare DAC, trading as VHI Healthcare, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Century Complex gift cards are the perfect gift this Christmas. Our gift cards can be used throughout the complex in Backstage Bar and Grill, Century Cinemas and Century Play. Available in-store at Century Complex. Call us on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Now, there are calls for the appointment of a staff care czar in the health service. It comes as nursing unions highlight the problems of overcrowding in emergency departments and difficulties in attracting and, keyly as well, retaining workers. Consultant in emergency medicine, Dr. Chris Luke, joins us on the programme now. He is the person behind this call. Good morning, Dr. Luke. Thanks for your time.
Morning, Greg. Thank you very much for asking me.
Right. So where would you see this position be? Because some might feel that some of the problems with the health services is who's responsible, too many people making decisions and maybe not enough people taking responsibility. So where would you see this staff care czar positioned?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's sort of everybody's problem and nobody's responsibility. I've spent 40 years in the NHS and the Irish Health Service, and it seems to me that the further we get into high-level organisation, and something which I think is potentially to blame for much of our problems is the sort of imitation of car factory management. I mean, an awful lot of management teaching in the NHS when I was a young consultant in the 90s referred to the so-called lean thinking of Toyota factories and all these other car factories in Japan. And for years I thought, hospitals are nothing like car factories. They're much more like horticultural or agricultural ventures. It's much more a natural process of growth, needing nurture and time and sunshine and patience, basically. So it seems to me that one of the things that's consistent in the reports about dysfunction in the NHS and the Irish Health Service is the want of emotional intelligence at perhaps the very top, but the very top, and I mean in government and in perhaps the civil service, but also in many hospitals. I've worked in many hospitals, and for years I've been horrified at the way staff throughout the hospital are increasingly treated as units or as if they're making widgets. And there is a complete failure to understand their need to socialize as social animals, proper, clean, warm staff rooms, proper, clean, warm accommodation at night, like clean beds, warm food. That sort of very, very basic idea. But then in addition, you've got things that are absolutely perennial, like the failure to pay staff appropriately, predictably, reliably, to have them constantly shifting from one job to the next without any knowledge on the part of the salary office in each hospital of the last, salary hospital's details, endlessly on emergency tax, not getting rosters, for example, until 2 weeks after they've started in a new hospital. And perhaps the most egregious issue of all is, and I speak now as a father of a young medic myself, young medics going to HR in every hospital in the land and asking, look, I've got a wedding in 3 months or 6 months, or I've got a big exam in 2 months, can I please book the leave for that? And they say, oh, yes, of course. And then come the date, a week or even just a few days before the date, they're told, no, you can't have it, we're short-staffed. And on it goes.
So just in relation to that, out of interest, because where does this come from? The working environment for someone working in a hospital is very, very difficult, right? The wages for nurses are really quite poor. There's very few decisions the government could make in terms of increasing spend for public workers that would have universal support almost from the public. If you are struggling to retain and attract staff, then you look at the conditions. Like every private company that's very successful looks after and cares for their staff, even if the wages aren't as high as they might get in another company. So why is that such a difficult nut for us to crack, to make sure that staff are looked after and well rewarded, so that we're not constantly seeing us hemorrhaging staff to other places that do treat them well?
Well, I mean, it goes back to my original suggestion. I think the diagnosis is a lack of emotional intelligence. This is not like cognitive intelligence. This is actually not really about money. It's about people at the very, very top understanding, trying to understand the misery that many healthcare workers have to endure because of this basically complete dysfunction in terms of the way the health service's most precious asset, their staff, are managed. So it's basically about, having a unique identifier for example, tax or salary purposes as they move between institutions. It's about someone with authority in a hospital, and I would suggest someone at the rank of deputy chief executive in every hospital, should have the power and the remit to ensure that every member of staff, perhaps starting with the most pointy end, the emergency department and the intensive care unit staff, where our need is greatest and the burden is greatest, ensuring that each member of staff in those units has had a hot meal in their last night shift, has slept in a clean bed or has been in a clean staff room, has had their salary paid this month, has had their leave guaranteed, and so on and so forth. And then you move from prioritized departments to the whole hospital. But I'm sorry to say that over the last 30-40 years, year after year, I've seen a relentless chipping away at things like clean staff rooms, common rooms for the doctors. It's almost as if they're afraid of the doctors and nurses, congregating and conspiring against some imaginary, managerial enemy. And I think it reflects a chasm in terms of understanding between politicians and civil service and management and the staff of the front line. All
right, so it's a broadly, I don't know if the right word, toxic work environment then. Like a culture that everyone's looking over their shoulder, the suspicion as people's motives. I mean, is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about staff working, doing the job.
Yeah. No, it's just you talked about having a clean space for people to eat in comfort for fear that they might be plotting or something.
That's an example where hospital after hospital in the 90s and noughties started to get rid of the doctor's common room. That's a side issue.
Understood.
I'm talking here about much more basic stuff. I'm talking about how our doctors and nurses who are in the service at the moment, or most of them are doing the job of 2 or 3 other people. If they were in Italy or Germany or France, there would be 3 times the number of doctors or nurses. That's the basic starting point. Then there's the fact that, even when they get breaks, they may go into a staff room that's filthy, or there's no clean water, or there's no food at night for the shifts, and so on. Or if they're doing night shifts and or even, for example, a whole weekend, that there isn't a clean, quiet, res room and bed for them to take a break in. But we're talking about the most fundamental
basic stuff,
conditions for caring for healthcare staff. And I think it has to start at the top with a national czar, and in each institution, as I say, someone of the rank of a deputy chief executive who can enforce the kind of standards in terms of conditions that would perhaps begin to improve the retention of our staff.
All right, it's a fascinating insight. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris Luke. I really appreciate your time this morning. That is Dr. Chris Luke, consultant in emergency medicine. Maybe you are someone who's off shift at the moment working in that environment. Let us know anonymously what you think of those suggestions. 08660 25,000. I made an inquiry about installing a smart meter with the ESB, says this caller. I was listening to English news channels last night, and a lady had installed a smart meter about a month ago, but the provider has now switched her over without her knowledge to pay as you go. It seems this can quite easily be done by the provider. Just wondering, can they do the same thing here? And if anyone has any experience or information on this, it would certainly have to be done with. It have to be in the terms and conditions. I'm not sure if that's like the equivalent of the €300 that was put on my bill because my direct debit bounced because I forgot to switch it between banks. Is that the same type of a thing? Rather than cut you off, they switch you to pay as you go. I'm not really quite sure. That seems to be to me, if they're doing it, what logically the reason could be behind it. I'm not saying it is logical. I'm saying what they might see as logical. Back to the roads around Letterkenny. What about the lights on the Pierce Road at the junction at Elvery Sports? There's a backlog of traffic out as far as O'Donnell Park on a bad day, while another, the new lights at JJ Reed's and McGinley Motors, have made traffic a lot worse. Sat for 20 minutes yesterday. It's ridiculous. I try and avoid that road now if I can. Also, as it relates to people begging on the streets, beggars on Letterkenny Main Street, this has been going on for months. I had to chase one out of the cathedral itself, claiming to have lost his wallet and wanting money for a bus fare to Sligo. I blame the lack of action and visibility of the Garda for allowing these beggars to harass ordinary people going about their daily business. And it's very important that we distinguish between people who are genuinely struggling to feed themselves and those that might be part of some broader enterprise. Congratulations, Greg and Dr. Joe Kelly, on the fantastic podcast last night. I'm aware of the history of the area myself, and I thought they both did an excellent job and very well researched. Well, that's all, Dr. Joe Kelly. And last night, myself and Dr. Joe Kelly and discussed the history of Creasla, its people, its buildings, its infrastructure. And if you want to watch that, it's available on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, and you can watch that back, and we'll get it available for you on the website as a podcast, and you can hear it to see how it was framed in the context of the awful recent tragedy. But fascinating stuff. Dr. Joe Kelly always is fascinating in any case, but it's really just interesting to learn the history of Ards, the Lochsult Road, effectively one person's notion to build that road, the reasons why, so much more. Bradley Gallagher, everything is touched on in that piece. So that podcast, and thank you for your lovely feedback, is available for you to watch on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. And what I'll do is I'll make sure it's available as an audio and video podcast on our website for those of you who'd be interested to listen back at that when you want to. And if there's anything else like that, by the way, that you would think is interesting as by way of a podcast, because there's different things that fit well into a show like this, and then there's others that you need a bit more time for, if you know what I mean, that people can listen on demand. So I'm open always to anything you'd be interested in that regard. There's a text scam from both AIB and on Post telling you to click on a link for an online order. For listeners, beware, they are going to be at that big time coming up to Christmas. The only problem is that you sometimes do have to pay a fee to get a parcel, depending where it's come from. The idea is just to make sure you only follow legitimate links. Maybe we'll do something specific about that in the future. A caller has been trying to contact Prepay Ireland for the past 2 days. I tried every single way of contacting them, a phone number, email. I have a voucher and the code won't be accepted, and I have only €4 left in the machine. I have 2 houses and I need to get the power topped up. I'm at my wit's end trying to contact them. Has anyone any advice on how to reach them? Again, I'm a big advocate of going on Twitter, even if you only establish an account to have a go at it, because you can @ them, and say, at Prepay Ireland, whatever their handle is, I've been trying to contact you for 2 days. What's going on? They do have most of them have dedicated teams that look after the social media, and because it's public, they tend to reply. I wonder why your code won't be accepted, though. Is it possible it's been already used? What's the story there? It doesn't really tell you. We were talking about air fryers yesterday, which I've taken a great deal of abuse about. People think that I sleep with an air fryer. I drive around with an air fryer in the passenger seat. You know what I mean? Awful abuse. Fun, though. What sort of air fryer was Greg talking about there? The one that you don't need to shake the food on it. Missed that. It's an air oven, and I won't mention air fryers again, I swear. It's an air oven. It's the same as an air fryer, but instead of pulling out a basket, like a deep fat fryer basket, you pull down a door, and there inside there is a series of shelves, 1, 2, or 3. You can also, it's a rotisserie as well, right? Okay, stop looking at me. They're looking at me through the window thinking, here he is talking about air fryers again. But anyway, what it means is you can put different food on different levels and you don't have to shake it. I'm never talking about air fryers again. Back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
In cold weather, why work with a red nose and blue fingers? Heat your garage or shed with a kerosene blow heater from Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny. Call into Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny, where you'll find heaters of all sizes for sale and hire at great value.
Sheridan Security, now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
At iMotors, we've reduced the pricing of all of our pre-owned vehicles. With unbeatable value, we won't be beaten on price. We guarantee we have the car for you. From a starter car to SUV, ranging from Kia, Nissan, Jag, BMW or Opel, we have it all. Visit us in Letterkenny or Malin, or check out our website, imotors.ie.
It might be too early to talk about Christmas, but now is the right time to order furniture at McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny if you want it before the decorations go up. Maybe it's a new Irish-made suite, a beautiful dining set, or a luxurious new bed. Whatever you have in mind, there's a great selection in stock for immediate delivery, or to order for a guaranteed pre-Christmas delivery. Visit McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. McGinley's, with great furniture for every room.
Save hundreds of euros on custom charges when doing your Christmas shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges this Christmas with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Hi, Dad.
Just popping on to say hi, love.
How did you manage to video call?
I'm a bit of a computer whiz these days.
I can see that.
And it's not just video calls. With Hi Digital's free online course, Paddy also learned to do the grocery shopping. And you can too.
So how are you, Dad?
Hang on, I've a very funny gift to send you. Or is it GIF?
Learn essential online skills today at highdigital.ie. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation, Active Retirement Ireland and Alone. Vodafone, together we can.
This winter, be ready. Visit winterready.ie. From flooding, storms, snow and freeze to fallen trees, winter is hard to predict. Find out how to protect yourself, your home, farm, business and the elderly on the Office of Emergency Planning website, winterready.ie. Or follow us on Twitter at emergency.ie. An initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Right, okay. Now, there was a meeting yesterday amongst a few interested parties, not homeowners as far as I'm aware, but I'll get some clarification on that, as it relates to an update in respect of the administration of the Defective Concrete Blocks grant scheme. So we're joined on the programme now by Lisa Hone, Chair of the Mica Action Group. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for taking the call this morning.
Hi, Greg.
Right, so there's not much news here for the many, perhaps some positives for the few in terms of those who are currently trying to progress on this scheme, that there may be, say, some movement in that regard, but for everybody else is to wait and see what's the story with this new enhanced scheme. Is that your assessment of it, or have I done the meeting a disservice?
To be honest, Greg, we weren't expecting anything from the meeting really much with regard to the revised scheme. That wasn't the purpose of the meeting. In saying that, we did have questions from the MAG committee members who were there at the meeting yesterday, did have questions in terms of how things are progressing with regard to the implementation of the scheme. But the greater part of the meeting yesterday really was focused on a presentation which was due to be made by John Gallagher, who's a senior engineer with the council. And he was really going to give details on what had been agreed between the council and also the Department of Housing, because as people will be aware, and certainly anybody involved in this awful crisis, is that many applications have just been on hold. I mean, effectively in Donegal, the scheme has been paralysed for the best part of a year now. And it wasn't really like it was going great guns beforehand, to be honest. I mean, I think constipated is probably the best description I can give of the scheme before that. But effectively, when issues like other deleterious materials, in particular like pyrite, etc., reared their heads in terms of the evidencing in the engineers' reports, that kind of threw another spoke into the works, and effectively the scheme ground to a halt because there was no direction from the Department of Housing on how those kind of materials should be assessed and whether they should not be taken into consideration.
Well, the expected outcomes, some applications will be approved and confirmation of eligibility will be issued to the applicant. Where applicants cannot be approved, a final request for further information will issue to the applicant. This will afford the applicant's chartered engineer an opportunity to provide the necessary evidence to substantiate the recommended minimum feasible remedial options submitted. Are there still people interested in, outer leaves? I mean, is any engineer recommending anything other than full demolition at this point? And as well as that, we still don't really know whether or not foundations might be included or not. So whilst on the face of it this seems like progress, I certainly, at this point, if I were directly affected, would not want to be progressing in this scheme for, say, for instance, outer leaf only.
Now, I mean, look, the recommendations that go forward are based on the engineer's assessment and also that of the homeowner. Now, the vast majority of homeowners are trying to pursue an option one. But there may be homeowners in other circumstances that don't want to go down that full demolish route. So I can't give you a breakdown at the moment, Greg, in terms of, how many how many homeowners are going to go for, are going to try and pursue each type of remediation. But what I do know is the vast, vast majority at the moment want to pursue option one, because that is seen as, in a lot of cases, the damage is obviously very, very evident, and also it is seen as the only way to actually rid your home of these deleterious materials. So, that's and the other thing about the foundations, yes, there's huge concern about that as well, and we are still pushing for foundations to be taken into consideration. But it's just very, very disappointing that that's not really being taken on board with the urgency that it needs to be. It is really unacceptable that, we're not necessarily going to have that evidence for another year to 18 months. I mean, what are people supposed to do in the meantime? And the stance of the Mike Action Group would be very much, if you don't have the data and you don't have the evidence to substantiate that remediation is absolutely going to be a foolproof remediation for the homeowner, then you have to take a very, very cautious approach, and you have to take.
The only thing with all that is though, if you can't get home insurance with their outer block being done, who wants to go down that route?
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
these are all extremely valid questions, Greg. Absolutely valid questions. That was one of the questions that we're still pursuing these, trying to get answers from the likes of the Department of Housing with regard to stuff like that. There was a letter sent from the 4 counties that are due to be on the revised scheme. And, one of the questions was, can the department assure homeowners that the remediation will entitle them to be fully insured, fully mortgageable, and their house be fully saleable? And
unless they provide the indemnity, because you cannot compel a private company to indemnify a building. You can't compel that. You can see they have no influence over banks who've got billions invested in this. They're going to be effectively bailed out again. They can't influence banks. There's no chance of them being able to influence insurance companies. So in terms of progress, do you think this is a step forward, or will a lot of, in other words, it feels like there is a pathway for some people to get, on the scheme or to move forward within it, but in reality, are people not going to say, well, let's see what the new scheme looks like. Let's see if foundations are included. Let's see what other materials are recognised. So in other words, this is like saying you can drive on there now, but in reality, there is a massive roadblock there still.
Yeah, to be honest, it's difficult to comment on the details of what's in that presentation, because unfortunately we didn't get to hear the presentation firsthand. We didn't have that forum where we could actually follow up and ask the questions. We are pursuing a meeting with the likes of John Gallagher, Patsy Lafferty, relevant parties within Donegal County Council to actually have that opportunity to go through in the detail that is required.
Understood.
At the moment.
Yeah, I get you.
So I think that's the next step for us. And with regard to the new scheme, at the moment, let's be realistic. At the moment, government is just given all the signs that, they won't include foundations until they've done the testing. But this, they're so behind with the data analysis. They're so behind with the scientific analysis. And this is because they didn't do sufficient and robust scientific analysis.
Well, they didn't do either what is being done on the 15th of November. consult
No, exactly.
experts.
They didn't do that. And then even when the export report was issued in 2017, there was a recommendation in the expert report, which is now 5 years old, to actually go and do scientific study. They didn't do it. They haven't bothered to do it. That's the reason why we're so behind in terms of we don't have the data. A lot of this is not new.
Every taxpayer in this county, sorry, Lisa, there's a slight delay in the line. Every taxpayer in this county and in this country should be very interested in the government, and their level of investigation into this and to get this right, because this affects everyone. It's not just those that have crumbling homes. We're expecting the Minister for Housing to announce tomorrow the €15,000 for accommodation. I heard some suggestion the 5,000 for emergency works might also be discussed, but we'll have to wait and see. Is that to be welcomed if that happens as it relates to the 15,000 for accommodation? Because we know there are, a dozen odd, maybe even more people who they need to get out of their houses. The houses are unsafe. The houses are damaging their mental and physical health, and arguably potentially leaving them with health problems that they might have to live with for the rest of their lives. So with that in mind, do you think that if he announces the 15,000 for an emergency accommodation, that is to be welcomed, Lisa, that will give some people a pathway out of their homes?
I think you should go further, because it depends on the circumstances of the particular homeowner. But there are homeowners that are living in unsafe, unhealthy homes. They have applied to the scheme, but the scheme, as we know, has been effectively paralysed. Now, that 15,000 for accommodation was designed to help people when they have to move out of their home because of rebuild works. It was not designed to support homeowners who are living in really unsafe homes because their application is not progressing and it's just literally taking too long. So my concern would be that if that is all they offer, and this is why I think it should go further, if we've got homeowners who need that before they even get to a stage where they can use the 15,000 to support their rent when they have to move out, if you're asking somebody to move out for 2-3 years, that's not going to cut it, is it?
Interesting point.
So
actually.
it's really not good at they have to look at these on an individual basis.
And in reality, how many people could qualify to draw down that 15,000 that it would be useful and cover at least to some decent extent the actual cost? That's going to be a small amount of people, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, my concern is that if that is released, that unfortunately they have to use it now, and it's not their fault that the application hasn't been processed.
Okay.
It's not there. We have even homeowners who can't even get on the scheme because they don't have the financial means to get over that hurdle of their €6,000-7,000. So we've got homeowners who can't even get near the scheme at the moment, and yet they're still living in really, really unsafe homes.
Right.
So are you saying that they have to burn through that now? So when they actually come to rebuild, what do they do then?
Yeah, there needs to be a separate fund.
It has to go further.
Yeah,
it has to go further than just the accommodation costs being drawn down early. That's not good enough. It might work for some, but there's a whole lot of others that it will not work for, and it has to be looked on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
And they need to stop putting hurdles and hoops in the way of people. Like people who are trying to access this emergency funding, so-called, you have to be at stage 1 on the scheme. So basically they're saying if you've got a chimney breast that's about to fall down and it's looking really dangerous, unless you're on the scheme already, so unless you have the financial means to get on the scheme, you're not even entitled to qualify for that. And by the way, that's another upfront payment. It's totally and utterly impractical. It's totally disconnected from people's personal circumstances.
Yeah,
they really need to get real about this and understand the desperate circumstances that people are living in, and not everybody has thousands of euros just throw down up front to be able to deal with this situation.
Most people don't. Any word on free mica testing? That doesn't come in until such time as the enhanced scheme is in. Isn't that correct? You have to pay maybe $400 or $500 for an engineer to make an observation, and if they think there is a suspicion that you have defective concrete blocks, then you can get free testing. But that doesn't. If that is the correct, is Lisa, and that doesn't really. We're not going to see that until such time as the new scheme, as they call it, the enhanced scheme, is actually in place. Is that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately, the scheme. I mean, effectively, the only scheme that exists at the moment is the original scheme. So if you want to apply for the original, you still have to, I'm afraid, pay your €7,000. And, obviously it's of huge frustration, really, really unacceptable that we do not have an open date for the enhanced scheme, as they call it.
Yeah.
So it's really, really unacceptable. It's leaving homeowners in limbo. It's really hard to decide what to do. And obviously those that do not have the financial means, they are just kind of left to the wayside at the moment. And that's just not acceptable.
All right, Lisa, thanks for your insight into it and to give us that measured response to that news. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself, Lisa.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Lisa Hone, chair of the Mica Action Group there. Right, let's take a break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
If that sounds good, so will this. Save up to €300 off your car insurance cover when you buy online at libertyinsurance.ie. That's based on a 25% discount for new policies. Up to €300 off your car insurance. That's money for living. That's liberty. Future-proof. Subject to a minimum premium and applied before optional covers. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Liberty Seguros Compañía de Seguros y Reaseguros S.A., trading as Liberty Insurance, is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Use Ross Revenue's online service to pay and file online by November 16th. If you're not yet registered for Ross, do so today at revenue.ie. Avoid a surcharge, interest, penalties and a possible tax audit. Don't miss the November 16th deadline. Pay and file on time.
Let Joe McGee Butchers feed your family with their 5 for €20 deal. Choose from our fantastic deli range. Lasagnas, cottage pie, chicken curry and soups. Just a sample of our fine products all made in store only at Joe McGee Butchers, Letterkenny and Glencar shopping centres. Find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. An important step to prevent adult abuse is to respect and support everybody's right to decision making, including if someone is frail or living with a disability or serious illness. It's also essential to respond to adult abuse. If someone is at an immediate risk of harm, call 999 or 112. If worried about an ongoing concern, contact your safeguarding team at hse.ie/safeguarding. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE, safeguardingday.ie.
Stateside American Restaurant, serving you freshly cooked food in a family-friendly, fun environment. We've got steaks, burgers, wings, kids menu, vegan options, full bar, and so much more. There's something for everyone. Rediscover the real taste of America at Stateside American Restaurant, Letterkenny, part of your community since 2011. Visit stateside.ie for menu options and offers.
Have you heard about e-Power? It's a brand new technology from Nissan, only available at iMotors. We are the only dealer in the Northwest currently offering this technology, so make sure to call in or visit our website, iMotors, to find out more.
The Lidl elves have landed, so come on Ireland, let's go full festive for less. Twinkle all the way with LED twig lights, just $9.99. Add a bit of class with our wooden animated Christmas scenes, $11.99 each. And top it all off with a stunning Christmas star, only $4.99. Do Christmas without compromise at Lidl. More for everyone this Christmas.
Love swimming? Love it with a level head. Learn about weather, tides and rip currents. Be visible with a brightly coloured hat and tow float. Swim parallel to shore and never alone. Afterwards, get warm quickly. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe, then sorry. For open water swimming advice, visit watersafety.ie, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Inishowen Charity Truck Run in aid of the Donegal Hospice and Irish Red Cross Creasla Fund. The trucks will leave Bridgend on Saturday 12th at 3 p.m. sharp to drive around Inishowen and back to the halfway house in Burnfoot for live music and dancing from 6 p.m. All trucks and big vans welcome. €20 per vehicle. For more information, contact Kevin O'Connor on 086 103 4485.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. I do hope you're all well this Thursday morning. Just to let you know, tomorrow it's business as usual on the programme, all the usual features, but we will be broadcasting for you live from McElhenny's in Ballybofey. It's part of the whole Buy Donegal initiative. We might even bring some 9 till noon mugs with us if you're about Ballybofey. Call in. We might have one or two to spare. But do call in and say hello. McElhenny's always very busy. I'm sure it's particularly busy in the lead up to Christmas. Not too far away now, a month and a bit. But anyway, we're live tomorrow from McElhenny's. We have our Friday panel in with us, as always. Michael Infanula will be joining us as well. And we have other guests, which I'm sure you will find interesting. So, but also, if you're in and around, come in and say hello. Right, okay. Also want to let you know that you could win a Nissan Juke. Beautiful car. It's worth €30,000. It is in black. And we are giving it away this Christmas. We're going to give someone this car. It's the brand new 2023 car, by the way. We're going to be giving someone this car on the eve of Christmas, on the Friday before Christmas. If you want to be in with a chance of winning, you can go to our website, highlandradio.com, and you'll see there a banner that says win a car. Click that, answer a simple question and purchase a ticket. It's €10. If you want to gift them out, 6 for 50, 10 for 80. You can put individual names of the prize winners in it. Not the prize winners, but, you know, your recipients in it. And, you know, this is one where you have a good chance of winning, you know, in terms of scale. So hopefully someone of you will win. I know that for a fact. But go to highlandradio.com, click win a car, and you can buy your tickets. Now, if you don't want to buy online, you can give us a call here, 07491 25,000, and we'll be able to sort the tickets out for you as well and put the individual names on those tickets for you. And if all else fails, maybe you deal only in cash, well, call up to us here at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny and we'll sort you out as well. The draw will close on Friday the 23rd of November, and we'll contact the winner during this programme. Also on Friday the 23rd of December. I might have said November. It's Friday the 23rd of December. So good luck to all of you from the Highland Radio team. One of you out there will be driving around next year in a brand new black Nissan Juke worth 30 grand, and it's the 2023 car as well. So that's all very exciting. Good luck to all of you who may enter there. Let me see here. A caller says, the mica problem is the greatest problem ever to hit the Northwest. The big problem is communication. People who have paid $7,000 to have their homes tested do not have a clue what compensation they will get or what they need to do to fix their homes. It is the entire Northwest now. People don't know if remediation works will combat the problem. The only mistake we made, or was made, was that the cement was not put in. Pure neglect. There's more to it than that, but I take your point. And it's half the country. It's 13 counties. We are at the sharp end, but we aren't the only ones here. We've heard also of confirmed cases in Derry and elsewhere. This is a problem that will only get bigger. It's not going to go away. So, I mean, it's a big scheme, a lot of money, but we need to see how it's actually going to start repairing houses. It's hard to believe we've talked about this now for a decade, and what is there, 6 or 7 houses repaired, something like that? I don't know off the top of my head, but it's not a big number anyway. Rightio, we are on the way to the news at 11 o'clock. Stay tuned though, another busy hour coming up for you between 11 and 12.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Imagine having to decide between heating your home and a hot meal. Imagine having to give your children hand-me-down shoes that are too big for them. Imagine having to go without food yourself to ensure your children are fed. Many of the families Barnardo's work with are in crisis, and the demand facing our services is relentless. We need your support in the next 100 days to help as many children as possible before time runs out. Please donate at barnardos.ie.
Lancome has an exclusive beauty gift waiting for you at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Simply purchase 2 Lancome products, one to be skincare, and get a free 8-piece gift containing a full-size comfort mousse. Absolute day and night travel size creams, plus more of your favourite iconic Lancôme products. Available until Saturday the 12th of November, or while stocks last. T's and C's apply at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny.
If you're having any hearing difficulties, at Donegal Hearing Clinic we can help. If your hearing loss is slight but you want to look into it, or it's got to the point where you've no other choice, we'll do what it takes to resolve your problem. It may be as simple as a wax removal. Donegal Hearing Clinic, Pierce Road, Letterkenny and Milltown Business Park, Buncrana. Call us on 07491 88470 or visit donegalhearingclinic.ie. Life sounds brilliant with Donegal Hearing Clinic, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about a great tumble dryer that will save you time and energy. The Blomberg 8kg dryer has a selection of sensor programs that allows you to decide exactly how dry you'd like your laundry, and smart technologies to help you reduce your energy costs. It also comes with an amazing 7-year parts and labour warranty. Call into us and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
The 9 till noon show will be live this Friday from McElhenny's Ballybuffet to mark the official beginning of the Buy Donegal campaign, which runs from November 11th to December 24th. Tune in to find out about the Buy Donegal campaign, which showcases the best of Donegal businesses to a global audience. That's this Friday, the 9 till noon show, live from McElhenny's Ballybuffet.
A caller says, amusing to see so many Derry City fans online celebrating Finn Harps being relegated and the club's official administrator applauding UCD's 3-1 victory to relegate Harps. 3-1 victory. It's history now, but the campaign to get Derry into the League of Ireland after 13 years in the wilderness out of the Irish League was spearheaded by Finn Harps and especially the late Franz Fields. Nevertheless, we all get behind our neighbours and cheer them on to victory in next Sunday's Cup final versus Shelbourne at the Aviva. And unfortunately, there is a bit of toxicity in sport.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, it is just turning 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. And we say good morning to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A teenager has died following a fatal crash in Letterkenny just before midnight. 2 men have been taken to Letterkenny University Hospital with serious injuries. Gardaí remain at the scene of the road traffic collision involving 2 cars that occurred at 11:55pm on the Ramelton Road. Gardaí are appealing for witnesses. A significant tranche of funding has been announced today for reimagining Ramelton. €6.4 million is being made available for the €8 million project under a major rural regeneration development fund. There's a better chance of Northern Ireland not being used as a bargaining chip in discussions about the protocol under Rishi Sunak, according to former Taoiseach Bertie Ahern. The post-Brexit arrangement has been a sticking point in a Northern Ireland executive not being formed since the election there last May. The number of fires being dealt with by the Donegal Fire Service has reduced. The service responded to a total of 786 calls last year, down 3% from 2020. Despite that, there has been a slight increase in malicious calls to the service. Donegal County Council's Islands Committee, meanwhile, is stepping up its campaign to have a fire service developed on Tory Island. Tory has a population of around 120 people, but there is no fire station or fire tender on the island. A Letterkenny councillor has warned that the Bonnegee Lane is an accident waiting to happen. Concerns have been raised over the volume of vehicles using the route and the speed at which they are travelling. The council says an assessment of the road will be carried out. Tributes have been paid this morning at Donegal County Council's Economic Enterprise and Emergency SPC to all agencies involved in the rescue and recovery operation following an explosion in Creeslaw last month. The Council's Director of Emergency Services, Gary Martin, has praised all who responded to the unprecedented event, including the local community, who he says has to be commended. And a wind warning for Donegal has been extended. Met Éireann is warning of strong to gale force south to southwest winds today and into tomorrow, with gusts of 90 to 110 km per hour expected. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, thank you very much, Michaela. I've been sent some images here from the Dunlow River Walk. It's hugely popular amongst people, but apparently there's a donation box which has been busted open. I hope that's not the case, but anyway, that's the images that have been sent forward to me, unfortunately. we'll look further into that. Right, okay, so Fulcher Ireland is predicting another busy 2023 in terms of tourism. That's if we have somewhere for them to stay, though. And we've discussed this on the programme before. A lot of hotels, a lot of rooms are being taken up as part of our response to the refugee crisis, which was triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So, how are we going to resolve all of that? Paul Diver is the General Manager of the Sandhouse Hotel Rosnala. He's also Chair of the Irish Hotels Federation Donegal branch. I'm going to be chatting to him after this break to get his insight into where we're at, where we're going. Stay tuned if you've an interest in that, which I'm sure many of you do.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
If I learned one thing in the last year, it's that falling into debt can happen to anyone. Luckily, I heard about the ISI, the Insolvency Service of Ireland. Their professional advisors can help you restructure or even write off your debt. The first thing they said to me was, every debt problem has a solution. I can still feel the relief. So if you're worried, visit their website backontrack.ie or free text Get Help to 50015.
The ISI. Together, we'll get you back on track. This is an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with a manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
Swing into Christmas with the Rat Pack, live at the Griannan Theatre Letterkenny December 14th. Direct from London's Leicester Square, and for one night only, enjoy classics from Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin. Tickets from Anne Griannan Theatre box office and annegriannan.com. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Check out these special offers at Simpson Supermarket Letterkenny. Dairy Gold 454 gram, €2.50. Chicago Town takeaway pizzas, €4. 7-Up 2 litre, 2 for €2.50. Nicky toilet roll 16 pack, €4.50. Dolmio original 500 gram, 2 for €3. Simpsons are now taking orders for your Christmas turkey. Join our Christmas club and spread the cost over the next few weeks. Ask any staff member for details. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpson Supermarket. Great value every day.
Hi, Pat Short here.
And Face Short over here.
I can see that.
They don't know.
Okay.
They can't see it.
We're here to tell you about our new show, which is going to be in
the Abbey Centre, Ballyshannon, Saturday the 12th of November. Tickets €30 at abbeycentre.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Okay, you're welcome back. Now, Paul Diver, as I mentioned before the break, is the General Manager at the Sandhouse Hotel Rosnala, also Chair of the Irish Hotels Federation Donegal branch. He joins us now. Paul, good morning to you. Good to have you back on the show.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, some comments, hearing some comments. I think there was a conference, I can't remember, it was London perhaps, from people in the Irish tourism industry, welcoming the fact that despite all the challenges, there's been quite a strong bounce back nationally in terms of tourism numbers, and they're predicting that 2023 may not be that far behind 2019. But that does beg the question, and it's interesting actually to hear it being asked today by those representing the industry, where are tourists going to stay? An awful lot of our accommodation is currently being utilised to house refugees. Is it a problem?
It's going to be a problem. If numbers keep rising the way they're rising, it's going to be a problem. I think here in Donegal, we have about 7,500 bed spaces, and about 13% of that is taken up by Ukrainians. Now, I'm just speaking from a tourism point of view, not a humanitarian point of view, just strictly from a tourism point of view. I suppose our concern would be, where entire villages or towns or regions where all the accommodation has been handed over. For example, I was speaking to people here last weekend. They normally go to our Dra for a walking week. They weren't able to get accommodation in our Dra. They came here instead. That week would have been taken up, off-site sightseeing during the day, hikes, as I said. But then that night would be off to a restaurant or a pub or for Irish music or whatever. The knock-on effect for that was because there was no accommodation available, and a lot of the restaurants were closed. There was no Irish music session, so it sort of left a very bad taste in their mouth. And asking them, will they come back? They were sort of, sort of might just look elsewhere. Donegal had a very serious problem over the last 30, 40 years with being seasonal. And Fáil Chearn and ourselves did a lot of work to make the county open all of the year round. But certainly if tourists are going to come and if they can't do the tourist thing, it's going to be a very serious problem.
Yeah, because 13% overall doesn't tell the full story of the huge impact in particular areas. That being said, though, it's a moneymaker for hotels. You can struggle in terms of your overall annual capacity. The big bills are coming through in terms of electricity and what have you. The government's competing with the tourism industry in that it's looking after aspects of the tourism industry and it's looking after them, very well financially. So why would any hotel go back to the uncertainty of the regular business when they're guaranteed capacity and an income all year round housing refugees?
Yeah, that's a very good point, and it's very relevant. As you know, costs have gone absolutely through the roof. We just got a letter in today that the price of a pint of Heineken's gone up by another 17 cents. So costs are just, I would say out of control. You look at the other side of it, and as you say, you look at this very nice offer from the government. I suppose as an industry here in Donegal, we have to look at the bigger picture. If we go down the route of more hotels handing over accommodation, well, we're going to lose our biggest asset, and our biggest asset here in Donegal is our staff. A lot of hotels here in Donegal would trade throughout the winter. We wouldn't make money in the winter, but the reason you're trading is to keep your staff employed. If we go down the route of handing over our accommodation, as I say, we're losing that. So we have to look at the bigger picture, and sort of come next Easter that we have a hotel to open but we also have staff to staff it. But certainly, the costs it's a serious issue that's keeping very many people in the tourism industry awake at night.
It's a bit of a mess too, because how do you resolve it? Some might say, well, maybe then you need to support the hotels who are currently making a lot of money housing refugees. You'd have to support them, subsidise them so that they would go back into the general tourism market. But how could you do that fairly when hotels like your own have been plugging away in the tourism market with limited supports? Like, there's a problem being created that's going to be hard to unravel, because also as well, we had that great staycation market that could be lost. That progress could be lost because if you've nowhere to stay in Donegal, you're not going to go there. And then you talked about the work to try and attract more tourists here to extend the season. That work could be unravelled again. So it's not one season, i.e. the 2023 tourism season. Previous year's work could be undone, and it could take a generation to build us back to where we are again. That's all worst case scenario, but I don't think anything I've said there is completely irrelevant.
No, it's not, and it's very relevant. We had a fantastic opportunity. When the country was in lockdown with COVID, Donegal did extremely well out of that. We were in the shop window, and people loved. When they came to Donegal, they loved what we had on offer. They loved the value for money. And we still have all of that. But if we go back to a lockdown situation, or if we go back to only been open for 3 months of the year, or we have that perception, you're 100% right. It'll take a generation to undo that. I don't know how we're going to resolve the situation, but I think some of the departments need to look at towns and villages, not just in Donegal, but right throughout the country, and only allocate a certain percentage of people, because here in Donegal, tourism is extremely important to us here in Donegal. There's 8,000 people employed in tourism, and that's not, just in Letterkenny or Donegal town. That's in every corner, from Arnmore to Malin to Rasnowla to Bundoran. We're all over the county, and nothing is going to replace that. So it is a very, very serious issue, and it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, because hopefully, we don't know yet though. I don't know what, say, for instance, car rental prices are looking like for 2023, but we saw the great challenge in 2022. You talked about the prices on the increase. You tie in the fact that, limited accommodation, and certainly in the big urban areas, whatever is left, they're going to price it. That's just the bottom line. And we might hear, but we're going to feel the impact of it. You could be looking at the, serious dent or decimation of the tourism industry in Ireland. In other words, people will look at their options and go, I can go to Berlin, I can go to Faro, I can go to Albufeira, I can go, why go to Ireland? And again, that's going to be hard to get back.
It is, when you go back to car rental there, people are very cute. We heard about the astronomical prices that car rental companies were quoting. We had an awful lot of people then that changed their holiday, flew into Belfast and got a very good deal in Belfast. I suppose the thing about hotels here in Donegal, the majority of them are family owned and family managed. We're going to try and take the hit for as much as we can. It's key to us that we offer value for money, and we continue to offer value for money. And as I say, it's key for us that we have full-time jobs for our staff. It is going to be a bumpy year or a few years ahead, but hopefully the goodwill that we've built up, as I say, when we were in the shop window with the country being closed down and people had to holiday at home, we did absolutely fantastically well out of that, and hopefully that will pave the way for us going forward.
Yeah, but you can only do as much as you can do. We know from Ryanair and other airlines, they're moving record numbers of people around. People are travelling, people are holidaying. So you can have your hotel offering good value in a beautiful location, but if the environment is being dictated by government or whomever, that means people won't come here. You're fighting a losing battle. So you can only do your bit. It's up to the powers that be to ensure that they create a more general environment that leaves us as a realistic option for someone to head away for a week in the summer.
Yeah, that's very true. I suppose there's no point in burying our head in the sand, but we have a very good tourism product here in Donegal. We've got everything from some of the best golf courses in the world at fantastic value. Brilliant surfing. So much to see and do, and I suppose it's up to us to keep getting that message out. That there is value to be had in Donegal. There's a huge variety of things to enjoy in Donegal, and just sort of hope that the powers that be will look at where hotels are handing over to their accommodation and just try and manage a bit better, so that the tourists that's coming to Donegal get a really good tourist experience.
And the solution in Donegal is there, because we had hundreds of homes offered for accommodation. None were given out by whomever is responsible for that, and they were put into grouped accommodation or hotels. Finally, 17 cent on a price of Heineken. This is obviously coming down from the manufacturers. I think even those that are still managing to keep it under €5 or thereabouts, that pushes it over it. Is that something we're going to see across the board in terms of drink prices, Paul? Because that's a potentially, there's a tipping point for everyone. That's a game changer potentially.
Yeah, it is. You just wonder what letter you're going to open, what news is going to come out of it next. But certainly 17 cent on a pint of Heineken, and there's only so much you can pass on to the consumer. We're very close to the border. Alcohol is a lot cheaper across there. But it's just another one adding to the list. But we just have to be very careful that we try and manage our costs as well as we can, and not become a really, really, really expensive place to do business.
Or to live, for that matter. Paul, listen, thanks for your time as always, and your considered points of view. I appreciate it. Okay, take care. That's Paul Diver there. He is the general manager at the Sandhouse Hotel Rossnell, a beautiful hotel, by the way. I've been lucky enough to go there a couple of times. He's also chair of the Irish Hotels Federation Donegal branch. And, we can't wait till April and say, well, what do we do now? There's an opportunity now. The government has an opportunity. The powers that be have an opportunity to say, right, we've been told by people within the industry that this could really seriously damage the tourism season for 2023. The 8,000 people employed here, right across the board, that's the pubs, the restaurants, your local news agents, your coffee shops, all reliant on making money during the summer to get them through the winter for the most part. And we could seriously see the tap being closed in terms of visitor numbers here unless something is done really significantly. And there's no point waiting, as I say, till April or May of next year. There's people being paid an awful lot of money to try and sort that stuff out now.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Acres deadline extended. In this week's Farmers Journal, Department bows to pressure as advisors scramble to submit applications. Cash for Carbon, scheme to certify farmers for capturing carbon on the way. Feed prices up almost 50% on last year. Boost for weanling trade as new market opens. New €1 billion forestry programme will pay farmers to plant trees. Plus, don't miss your free 48-page agribusiness report with KPMG inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €40 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing $64.50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, December 28th, and Omagh St Enda's GAA Club, December 30th. Tickets available from venue box offices, hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Connolly's Audi Sligo are returning with their Future Now test drive event, taking place on Saturday 19th and Sunday 20th November at Letterkenny Golf Club. Call in from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will be showcasing our fantastic range of cars for the entire weekend. To avoid disappointment, order your new 231 Audi today with Connolly's Audi Sligo. Visit connolly's.ie to see our full range.
Pick up Friday's Irish Daily Star and start the countdown to World Cup fever with a fabulous fixtures wall chart free inside. Keep track of all the fixtures, all the winners, all the World Cup action in a handy poster-sized wall chart. Don't miss your free fixtures wall chart inside Friday's Irish Daily Star.
This Black Friday weekend, everyone's on the lookout for a bargain, but you should be on the lookout for fraud. Bank of Ireland are on the lookout for your financial well-being by reminding you to stop, think, check. Stop. Don't just click any old link. Think. Bank of Ireland will never send you texts or emails asking for your full 365 PIN or one-time passcode. And check using their exclusive text checker by sending the word check followed by the Bank of Ireland message to 50365. For more info, search Bank of Ireland Security. And together, we won't let the fraudsters win.
Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, so we heard from a caller earlier on that could not top up her prepaid power. But we're learning now that this person is not on their own. Bridie, you're in the same boat. Good morning to you. Thanks for speaking to me.
Hi, good morning, Greg. Yes, I'm in the same boat, and I've been trying to contact them as well for 2 days. And I am down to about 125 in credit, so we're going to lose power.
But you're also down in terms... Sorry, I beg your pardon, Bridie. You're also down in terms of money ringing them up, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I was on for just over half an hour last night, and nobody, it was just the music and nobody was coming. And I've been on this morning, I've tried to call them again and nothing. And I've been on there, they have a live chat section. I went on that at 9:01, no reply. An hour later, I came out of it and then I went back in. And I'm still in it here on my laptop, but nobody's getting back at all. Normally, we would have had money to sort of play with. My credit is low for the simple reason that we were expecting, the government 200.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of just waiting on that. But I want to get a top up last night of just, €40, and I tried to put that on yesterday, and it just keeps rejecting it, and the message then comes back wrong tariff. I googled that then to see what all this was about, but apparently we were supposed to get a 40 to 60 digit code to put into the meter to bring up the new tariff rate, and that's what I've been trying to get them for, because we were never sent this. It didn't appear on, when you bought the top up, either our last one or this one. Normally you get, anyone that's on these meters will know, you get like extended codes,
That's when they're changing the tariff. They give you the longer code. It reprograms the meter really effectively.
Yes. No, we got nothing on our last top up, and we didn't get anything on this top up, and there's been no info from them at all in relation to that. I only sort of found out about this code by by Googling it last night. The whole frustration, Greg, is that we just can't contact them. They've gone to ground.
And it's still the case that when your credit reaches zero, the power's out. And maybe there's an emergency button for an extra $5. I don't know if you've pressed that or not, but...
we actually done that, and it blocked us out from that. So it has. So because you can get a €20 emergency, but it just seems the meters are just not working.
Right. Yeah. We're on to prepay power to see if we can get a response, because it's a number of people. But you seem to have determined, Bridie, it doesn't matter what code you have, unless you've got the extended code that switches the tariff, the codes are coming back incorrect tariff. So until you get that long code, you're banjaxed really heading into the weekend.
We are, yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you get your €200 voucher from the government yet?
No, we didn't, no. I mean, that will
is.
That will come through from them. I think they have up until the 11th. That's
tomorrow.
That's what they're sort of saying on their website. But even if we get that, or anyone else like me, because our meters aren't ready.
Yeah, of course, it's useless.
We'll not be able to avail of that.
Right. Okay.
But as I say, our main worry is we could wait on them to sort something out. But we are going to be without power. I would say inside the next couple of hours.
You shouldn't have to live like that. And you sitting with the money in your hand, effectively. A caller says the €200 voucher is 200 digits long. Inserted it into the meter in blocks of 10. That's what I had to do. I presume it's the same everywhere. You don't have that. I put in someone's digit. It wasn't that long. It was only about 24 characters. So that I don't want to mislead people. That's not across the board, because I put in someone's voucher from government, and it wasn't anywhere near 200 digits. Right, Bridie, if we get any update from Prepaid Power, we're actually going to redouble our efforts to try and get contact from them, because it's a number of people, and we can't have people without power either. Right, okay, Bridie, leave that with us, and we'll see what we can do, okay? Thank you for your call.
No problem.
Take care.
Thank
all right,
you very
bye-bye,
much.
Bridie. All right, hopefully that's sorted soon. Another regarding prepaid power. My neighbour had the same problem. The meter won't accept a new voucher until the €200 voucher is inserted first. Okay, that's different. It's difficult to get through a prepaid power, but when you do, they'll send you the €200 unit voucher by text or email. You must register your mobile number or email to get the voucher. Your own top-up voucher can be put in afterwards. But isn't it it's a bit coincidental? Is it coincidental that all of a sudden, when there's a €200 unit voucher, that it is changing the tariff? What's going on there? Why is it the €200 voucher that changes the tariff? Is it that it's getting more expensive to coincide with that announcement? Something going on there. I'm not saying it's anything untoward, but it's all bloody coincidental, as typical. Right, John T. Quinn's with us as well. John, good morning to you. Thanks for taking the call.
Good morning, Greg.
You're in a tussle with a Panda, effectively. It's got €500 of your money. What's going on?
Well, the way we... cost of living and all that, we always built up our credit with the ESP to make sure we had electricity for the winter months, good practice. But Panda seems to have changed hands, and our €500, we don't know where it is. They promised they would pay it back into our account 3 weeks ago. They haven't, and we're on to them this morning again, and it was just it's like playing badminton over and back.
Right, John, so you're doing something that's really quite clever. So when you've a few bob during the summer, you load that onto the account, and that gives you then credit for when the bills start going up through the winter.
Yes, that's what unfortunately we're able to do that. But that the €500, we don't know where it is. When we asked the guy on the phone, put us through the accounts, he told us, sorry, there's no phone calls going in, and there's no phone calls coming out of the accounts because they have no phones in it. Now, that to me is a red flag. Why? I mean, what company that you can't get talking to their accounts? So we're in a situation now, and we've told them this morning that they said they would next week, and I told them, listen, if it's not on our account next week, I'm afraid we're going to have to go to the Letterkenny Garda station and make a complaint about money being missing. And that's terrible to pensioners. We're pensioners. Greg, we're under our 70s. We shouldn't have to go through this.
No. especially with money so hard to go by.
I'm just wondering, is there anybody else out there in the same situation that, you know, they're reluctant or they haven't? I'd be kind of outspoken. Maybe they're not able to do that, but I left this morning. I never seen my wife so stressed out before, and she, you know, she's a very strong old woman.
Right.
You know, it's not on. It's definitely not on.
John, we've been in contact with Panda Power, and they've recognised your situation, and they've got in contact with management, and they're going to get back to us to see if they can resolve this for you today.
Well, you know, Greg, I appreciate you and your radio station, and I'm aware of it. You're a great help to the communities in Donegal, and we've seen that in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've seen that. Only for you, Greg. Only for you, Greg, and the station. There'd be a lot of stuff that went on that wouldn't be sorted. It's terrible if we have to do this. But I appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate Highland Radio, and I'm glad to hear what you said there, because that'll give us peace of mind.
Well, we're going to keep chasing them up. We don't just let it go with that. We'll keep calling them, and we'll also emphasise the stress this is causing to your wife, and hopefully we can help to get it resolved. John.
I'm sure we're not the only old pensioners that are in the same situation. We thought we were being prudent by building up credit down through the summer months to make sure we're okay for the winter.
It's clever, actually. It's really clever what you do, but you have got caught out because clearly your credit with Panda Power was not transferred to the new provider. But leave it with us, John, and we'll.
There's another thing too, Greg.
Go ahead,
Greg. There's another thing too that might be aware of. We discussed it around the table this morning. Would they pull another stunt by saying, right, we've transferred into your account in Ulster Bank, and Ulster Bank is frozen. You know, all their accounts now are frozen. They've shut down everything.
Well, John, we're not going to allow that happen, right? So
Right.
we'll factor that in as well, okay? And we'll make them aware of that as well as much as we can, John. And we'll be in touch with you to see if we can get an update for you and to get that money back into your hand. All right, John. And best wishes to your better
Thanks very
half.
much.
Okay, take care. Make her a cup of tea, John.
I think I'll just let her calm down a wee bit.
All right, a whiskey then. All right, John, take care. As I say, best wishes to your other half. Take care of yourself. All right. Bridie, who was on with us. Bridie, will you check your spam folder if you're still listening, Bridie? Because a couple of callers have said that they found their €200 voucher from government, not from government, from the company in their spam folder. So all of you out there who've not received your €200 yet, check your spam folders, will you please? Because and do it as soon as you can, because the spam folder will clean itself out after a certain amount of time. So we're gonna call Bridie and get her to check her spam folder as well, and maybe that could be it, because it seems to be that this code has to go in before subsequent codes can go in. And we have people, at least two callers, more calling us all the while, that have less than €2 credit left in their electricity. You don't want to be dealing with that on a Thursday, do you? Maybe the children coming home, or you're caring for someone in the house and your power could go out through no fault of your own. Again, so much happens to us through no fault of our own. So we're going to keep on top of that situation for John and his lovely wife with Panda Power. And also we are continuing to try and make contact with Prepay Power. But please check your spam folders. And if you do check your spam folders and it's in there, would you let us know so we can let others know as well too, please?
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Have you got a one-for-all gift card that you've yet to spend? Now is the perfect time. Go and treat yourself in any of the 12,000 one-for-all retail partners before December 31st, and you could win €10,000 in cash. Pennies, Argos, IKEA, Currys, TK Maxx and many more. Simply spend your gift card and visit oneforall.ie/win for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. The One for All gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €40 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing $64.50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Connolly's Audi Sligo are returning with their Future Now test drive event, taking place on Saturday 19th and Sunday 20th November at Letterkenny Golf Club. Call in from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will be showcasing our fantastic range of cars for the entire weekend. To avoid disappointment, order your new 231 Audi today with Connolly's Audi Sligo. Visit connolly's.ie to see our full range.
At Centra this week, choose from our amazing mega deals. Like Centra Fresh Hour Sirloin Steak, 14.54 gram, only €6. Cadbury Oreo Tin, 396 gram, half price now €3. And Yellowtail Selected Range, €8 each. Smart choices, choose Centra. Centra, live every day. Enjoy, go sensibly.
Treat your family or friends to a hamper this Christmas from Kelly Centra, Letterkenny. Kelly's have great hampers to suit all budgets, including luxury hampers, available to collect or deliver. Also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Great gift ideas at Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Call 91-22026.
Hi, Pat Short here.
And Face Short over here.
I can see that.
They don't know.
Okay.
They can't see it.
We're here to tell you about our new show, which is going to be in
the Abbey Centre, Ballyshannon, Saturday the 12th of November. Tickets €30 at abbeycentre.ie.
The Christmas countdown is on at Century Complex. We are now taking bookings for Christmas parties at Backstage Bar and Grill. Make your night extra special by adding a Prosecco reception or VIP cinema experience. Call us on 074 912 1976 to book, or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex this Christmas.
Businesses, for your 2023 calendar, order now from BizPrint in Letterkenny. Promote your business 365 days of the year with a personalised calendar designed to suit from BizPrint the Printers, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
Bí ré an gíomh seo, Tá go winterready.ie. On the tiltte stedimocha go Green Dacu, ní féidir an gíomh huair. Bhámach a bailach a sárchan ó hain, do bhaile agus doch nó a chusins ag winterready.ie. Nú lean with our Twitter ag emergency.ie. Tons knúb go chuid rialtas na héireann.
All right, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show, and delighted to welcome back onto it Larry Donnelly, who's a Boston lawyer and a law lecturer at the University of Galway and political columnist with journal.ie. Larry, thanks for your time again this morning. I really appreciate it.
Good morning, Greg. Great to be with you.
I suppose, just to clarify, could you tell us what the great American public were voting on over the last while through postal votes and in-person votes? What was being decided?
Well, at national or federal level, they were voting for 35 out of the 100 United States senators. They were also voting for all 435 members of the United States House of Representatives. Then at state and local level, they were voting for governors, a whole range of different local officials. So this is a very major election, second only to, in terms of order or hierarchy, second only to the presidential election.
Now, I mean, America is facing all the challenges that we are, a divided public, inflation running at 8%, not necessarily huge approval ratings for the Democrats. So with all that in mind, and with Donald Trump being out there again, a red wave was being anticipated. It didn't turn out to be quite the case. Why not, I wonder?
Well, you said the primary. What is the primary reason, in my view, and that is the outsized persona of Donald Trump. The reality is the American people, the people who do decide elections in the United States, that is the small group of people in the middle, they've soured dramatically on Donald Trump and his presence in the arena in the run-up to the election, and also who were way outside the mainstream of American politics, who denied the results of the last election. All of that hurt his party very badly. There were other factors as well. One of those that's important is early voting. It's never been easier to vote in the United States. People were able to vote weeks, even months before the official polling day. That benefits Democrats inherently because it allows greater opportunities for people of color, for immigrants, for young people to vote, so that helps. Also, the overturning of Roe versus Wade is something that motivated a certain cadre of people, young people, women, who typically are politically apathetic, but who I think in this instance were really motivated by that decision to go out and vote for pro-choice candidates. And certainly in some hard-run contests, they probably made the difference.
I mean, it seems unimaginable, but it is the case. We had a situation whereby President Trump sort of effectively said to Ron DeSantis, a fellow party member, do not run against me for the presidential elections in 24 because I've got dirt on you and you won't want this to get out and it'll tarnish your reputation. I mean, pre-Trump, something like that, you would never imagine it could happen. Are the public being turned off but that from that style of politics now, do you think? Larry, I think I may have lost Larry there. Okay, we lost Larry. We got a decent oversight from Larry Donnelly there. We appreciate his time. Larry Donnelly is a Boston lawyer, a law lecturer at the University of Galway, and a columnist with The Journal. You can read more from Larry there. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Imagine a better way to manage your energy with a smart plan from Bord Gosh Energy. Our smart plans, like Free Time Saturday or Free Time Sunday, can help you lower your bills and reduce your energy usage. Find a smart plan that works for you and your home at boardgoshenergy.ie/smart. Free energy units are available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday each week with this tariff. Customers can choose Saturday or Sunday. Smart meter required. Terms and conditions apply. See boardgoshenergy.ie.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off on all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Donegal Creamery's Milk and Homeland stores have teamed up to reward their loyal customers with €10 off. Just collect 30 tokens from Donegal Creamery's Milks and receive a €10 off voucher, which can be redeemed in one of 34 Homeland stores or on homeland.ie when you spend €50 or more on fuel, feed, garden, agri-pet, paint and more. Limited time offer, so start collecting tokens from Donegal Creamery's Milk today.
Hello, Hill 16 Insurance. How can I help you? Up the dubs.
Hi. I am looking for a home insurance quote.
Righto, and what part of Dublin do you live in?
I don't actually live in Dublin.
Right. Do you at least support the dubs?
What? I'm just looking for home insurance.
Well, you're going to have to keep looking, pal, because Hill 16 is Dublin only.
Do you get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want you? Well, at Local Insurance, we are Irish owned and understand your needs. Call us today for a bespoke quote on 0818 894 444. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The High Kings, celebrating 15 years together as Ireland's favourite folk group, are back at the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny, December 28th, and Omagh St Enda's GAA Club, December 30th. Tickets available from venue box offices, hotel reception and Ticketmaster.ie. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Is your car or van winter ready? Get your free winter check now at Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny. It includes checking your lights, wipers and coolant. Also, the most common cause of winter breakdowns, your battery. And what you depend on most to keep you safe on the road, your tyres, where the tread depth should be at least 1.6 millimetres. Hegarty's will check all these and more to keep you motoring safely through the winter and beyond. Get winter ready by contacting Hegarty's Ford in Letterkenny today.
All right, actually, I think we've got Larry Donnelly back. Larry, you're still there with us, are you?
I'm with you, Greg.
Very good. Thank you. I was just asking you before the break, before we lost you there, the comments that President Trump made against DeSantimonial, as he calls him, about threatening to reveal details that he won't like being made public if he dares stand against him for the Republicans in the presidential race. What I was going to ask you there is that type of, are American people cooling off to that type of politics, I wonder?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think more than anything, it demonstrates that Donald Trump knows he had a terrible, terrible day, the midterms. They effectively became a referendum on him, and the American people decisively went against his party. We know since then there's all sorts of reports about him having a temper tantrum. In fact, as a result of the results of the election. And now he's attacking Ron DeSantis. And he's doing so because Ron DeSantis won his gubernatorial election in Florida by 20 points and did extremely well with Latinos, with women, with Democratic voters. He right now has to be considered the strongest Republican in a general election contest. The key question is Trump still has that devoted, inspired following. Can DeSantis get past that? That's the key question. But right now, Donald Trump knows he has a threat on his hands. And in terms of his future, this midterm election dealt a really serious blow to any chance that Donald Trump has of being reelected president of the United States.
Did we get an indication as to the type of campaign for that presidential election we will see in a couple of short years? DeSantis talking about this woke stuff it does my head in, to be honest with you. But anyway, this the fighting against the woke and the woke culture. Maybe ideology now is superseding party politics. Is that what we're going to see?
Well, I think there's something to that, and I think what DeSantis is doing, when DeSantis assails woke culture, it might turn off some people on the political left, but it's manna to the ears of an awful lot of Republican voters. And indeed, when he talks about woke culture and attacking woke culture, he's diving into the potential support there of Donald Trump. He poses a really considerable threat to Donald Trump in terms of the Republican nomination. So, we're going to see that from Republicans. But here's the thing, Greg. The reality is that you can push too far on those issues because if we look at the overturning of Roe versus Wade, it is certainly something that benefited Democrats this time around. So it'll be interesting to see just how those cultural issues play out. And it will be a case on the Republican side of veering fairly hard to the right in the primary, but whoever the Republican nominee is in the general election, he or she will have to veer back towards the center on those issues.
So finally, are we seeing a move back to things being fought, elections being fought in a more traditional sense on more sort of traditional issues rather than, the type of politics we've been seeing of late? Do you see any hope or move in that direction?
I don't think so, Greg. I think we're still going to have the culture wars. We still have an American conservatism that Donald Trump has remade. Donald Trump has executed a hostile takeover of the Republican Party and changed an awful lot of what it means to be a conservative. Ron DeSantis is on the same page as Donald Trump on lots of those issues. So I don't see a dramatic move away from that. But what may happen, and again, Republicans might be prepared to walk off the cliff with Donald Trump. He could well be the nominee again. But if Donald Trump is not the nominee, then I do expect that the dialogue perhaps mightn't be as coarse as it has been for the past number of years since Donald Trump emerged on the political scene.
And very, very finally, was the war in Ukraine a factor in this election at all?
Not at all. I would suspect that the number of people for whom the war in Ukraine, or indeed foreign policy more generally, would have been well under 10%. At the end of the day, Americans vote on pocketbook or wallet issues and to some extent on the culture wars. They vote on what's happening in the United States, not on what's happening outside the United States.
Interesting. Larry, listen, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming back to us as well. I really appreciate it. There's Larry Donnelly, 086 60 25,000. A caller says, I got a text 2 weeks ago to say I was getting €200. Last Friday, I got 2 texts from them. The code for the first 100 was sent, and then the other for the €100 5 minutes later. It was only 20 digits, and the voucher worked perfectly. Good to hear that. Another prepay power fuel allowance came through on Saturday past to mobile phones. The lady should phone them. We'll see the problem. She can't get through. But this listener recognises that it will take a while, but then they will send her the free allowance code or read it out to her if requested. I had a similar problem last time we got the allowance. But if there's a problem with some people not receiving it, then their phone lines are going to be jammers, aren't they? Another caller says, we are prepaid customers. We got our €200 voucher last week. The number wasn't long. Okay, I think that's a duplicate of a previous one. A caller says, Letterkenny needs a new hospital. Doctors have to go to eat in the small shop area in the front entrance. There's no facilities for them. There is no other place for them. When will we get a state-of-the-art hospital just like Dublin? Well, if I'm speaking to the health minister tomorrow, I might phrase that question just like that. Right, okay. Back in a sec.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your Ulster Bank loan or overdraft? We are now offering competitive low-rate switcher loans and MyCU current account with overdraft.
Acres deadline extended. In this week's Farmers Journal, Department bows to pressure as advisors scramble to submit applications. Cash for Carbon, scheme to certify farmers for capturing carbon on the way. Feed prices up almost 50% on last year. Boost for weanling trade as new market opens. New €1 billion forestry programme will pay farmers to plant trees. Plus, don't miss your free 48-page agribusiness report with KPMG inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Callaghan's Gala and Go Burt, your one-stop family shop. Drive into our newly renovated spacious forecourt. Fill up with our upgraded modern fuel pumps and save with our keen Go fuel prices. Located on the main Letterkenny to Derry Road, we're the ideal pit stop on your Donegal journey. Fast flow fuel, self-service or attended with a smile.
Sure, it's all go at Callaghan's.
Pick up Friday's Irish Daily Star and start the countdown to World Cup fever with a fabulous fixtures wall chart free inside. Keep track of all the fixtures, all the winners, all the World Cup action in a handy poster-sized wall chart. Don't miss your free fixtures wall chart inside Friday's Irish Daily Star.
Donegal County Council advised that a public information day on the preferred option for the Castlefin Flood Relief Scheme will take place on the 10th of November in the CPI Centre, Castlefin, from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. This will be the first opportunity for the public to view the option that is preferred for taking forward to the statutory planning process. Attendees will also be able to discuss the option in person with the project team and provide feedback. All are welcome and encouraged to attend.
Sometimes getting older is a good thing. Take a fine cheese. With steady planning, careful preparation and trusted guidance, at every stage of the process, it matures. At Standard Life, we believe in a similar approach when planning for retirement. Because when you do, things get better with age. Search Retirement Hub or talk to your financial advisor today. Standard Life International DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Okie doke, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Heading towards the last few minutes, just to remind you that we are broadcasting the show live tomorrow from we are Ballabufay, effectively. Macklehenny's, that's it, a name escaped me for a moment. Right, so drop in and say hello to us if you want. Right, the Cahirlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District has raised serious concerns over reports of people being bussed into town and purporting to be beggars. Now, we know this is not exclusively a Letterkenny problem. Donal Mandy Kelly joins us now. Donal, since you raised this issue, has there been any development in the story? Have you had any further information to suggest that these people maybe, even some of them, may be being exploited?
Yes, Greg. Good morning to yourself, Greg, and all your listeners. And Greg, listen, I had received a lot of phone calls about this, and that was my reason for bringing it up, as the general public had concerns and feeling intimidated when they're walking down Letterkenny Main Street with listen, the beggars on the street, Greg. And listen, what I was through the information that I have been told that this was that these people are not, they're not legit, you know, they're begging as a part of a fraud gang, if you like, you know, and that's the reason I have brought this to the attention of not only Donegal County Council, but in Garda Síochána as well, because I think this needs to be looked into, Greg. As I say, you know, when people's walking down Letterkenny Main Streets, you know, they shouldn't feel intimidated, and, you know, it's something we need to get to the bottom of, and, like, as I say, Greg, you know, like, I got phone calls as well about homelessness, people living in doorways there at beside Skelly practice there as well. And, you know, it's something we need to look into, because, listen, Greg, as I stated at the meeting, and I'm going to state here as well for your listeners, you know, I myself personally have a soft spot for anyone that's struggling, anyone that's homeless. I'll be the first person to put money into a hat or a ton of somebody along the street if I thought it was legit. But what I'm being told here, Greg, is this is part of a fraud gang that's coming in early in the morning and dropping these people off and left them again in the evening. And I mean, if that's the case, we have to get to the bottom of this. And I feel that Garda Síochána needs to step in here. Yeah. But now, Greg, like I have yesterday, I have called on the council to hold a multi-agency meeting with all elected members and with our council and Garda Síochána, social welfare, and the Simon community as well, you know, to have this addressed and see how we move forward to resolve this issue and
because
get to the bottom of it.
Part of the problem here as well is that, you know, it is possible, and this wouldn't be your intention, but it is possible that people that genuinely need some assistance, that people might go, oh, well, they might be part of what Donald Kelly's talking about, and they lose out. It's also possible as well that there are those, because everyone is trying to spread the money they have thinner now, that instead of giving to a charity shop or to a food bank, that they might say, right, I'm going to give this person money directly. You know, and that money might not be going to help that person. They might effectively be being exploited themselves. So this needs to be cleaned up to make sure that people who want to donate to charity, their money goes to charity. And those that want to help homeless people or people that are needing some assistance on the street, that they're genuine as well. So it's really in the poorest of society's interest that this is sorted out as soon as is possible.
That's 100% correct, Greg. It's the genuine people, the genuine cases that's actually losing out here, because you know, if you like the talk on the street is that these people are part of a fraudster gang, and they're I suppose they're, if you like, they're attacking the vulnerable, whether it's elderly, whether it's our youth, you know, the people that are afraid to say no and maybe intimidating them and they giving them money, you know, and as you say, Greg, you know, like I'm sure there is you know, cases out there that people that do need help and assistance, you know, and that's why that I'm calling this multi-agency meeting to you know, get to the bottom of this, because you know, I feel now we're coming into the winter months as well, and you know, nobody should be left sitting in doorways or left sleeping on the streets and having to beg from morning to night. Greg, you know, if it's legit. But, you know, I can't answer and say here live on radio that this is legit or this isn't legit. But from what I've been told, it isn't legit. And, you know, that's what I want to get to the bottom of, Greg, because, as I say, it's the genuine cases that's losing out here, because if this message get out, is going around, Greg, that this is, these people are part of a fraud gang, you know, they're going to be walked past as well. And
yeah, we don't want anyone either potentially to be exploited, because, you know, if someone, say, for instance, does not want to be sitting on a cold pavement for 8 hours a day, but they feel that they're obliged to, we need to make sure, and I'm not saying that is the case here, but if it's happening anywhere, we need to make sure that those people aren't being exploited either, that they aren't victims as well as those who give money and it doesn't go to a good cause.
That's correct, Greg. That's correct, and you're right. This is not just happening in Letterkenny. This is happening all over. I heard Councillor McGowan on yesterday as well, where it's happening in Balbafay. And I mean, this is actually moving into every town, kind of throughout the country, Greg. You know, since I raised this, I have got calls about happening in this town and that town, and you know, people, I suppose, at the time was afraid to speak up, Greg, and you know, people have wronged me and you know said, you know, fair play to you for speaking up, but at the end of the day, Greg, you know, like I'm there to represent the people, and the people have contacted me about this, and this is the reason I brought it up for my constituents. Understood. And you know, we have to get to the bottom of this, Greg.
Okay.
We can't sit back and let this go on if it's not legit. And you know, I'm very eager to get this meeting now, this multi-agency meeting with the relevant bodies, just to sit down, Greg, and see how we can approach this, how we can make it better. You know, and if these people do need housed, well, I believe we need to be doing everything we can to house them.
All right, Donald, I have to leave it there. Listen, your point's well made. Thanks very much indeed. Donald Mandy Kelly there. Listen, thanks for all of you for listening to the show. I think coming up after 12 o'clock, there's some embargoed figures which show that more and more of you are listening to the programme. I can't talk about that because it's embargoed. But if that is the case, which I believe it is, thank you very much indeed for all of your support. Right, John Bresson's coming up around the Northwest after the news at 12. Me and the team are going to be live from McElhenny's tomorrow. Call in and say hello.
The